Chapter 372, At the Sea, 2. In 10,000 years. I take a sharp breath. Though 10,000 years might seem like a long time, it isn't such a lengthy period for those at the 4-axis stage and above. Why is the end happening? I don't know the details, but from what I've heard, when the attraction force of a heavenly domain reaches its peak, the astral realm contracts, and the end occurs. Pardon. The sacred master calls it the Great Contraction or the Great Collapse. My nickname and techniques are derived from it. According to Zhang Ik, the heavenly domain we are in seems to expand continuously but then starts contracting at some point, eventually returning to the singular point of its origin. Editor seems to be inspired by the Big Crunch/bounce theory from cosmology. The exact reason why this happens is unknown, but from what I know, even if the Great Collapse occurs, the Middle Realms will never be destroyed. The Middle Realms won't be destroyed? Yeah. However, as the Sacred Master said, when the Great Collapse occurs and the end arrives, even if the Middle Realms remain intact, this heavenly domain will be filled with such intense heat and light that no living being can survive. Everything will turn into primordial light and vanish. Unless one is at the quasi-immortal level, they will die without any resistance. Even sacred masters, who have merged with the Middle Realms, may either endure or perish, purely based on luck. It's truly terrifying. I tremble at this horrifying fact. Then, within 10,000 years, I need to grow strong enough to withstand the end. However, I'm not sure if I can reach the star-shattering stage even after 10,000 years. I understand about the end. Then, may I ask one last question? Sure, ask away. I understand that in order to enter the next realm, one must sever everything. That's correct. Ho, have you found a clue to the next stage? No, I just heard about it. That's also a skill. Well, that's right. If you want to enter the same domain as mine, you'll have to sever everything. I ask with a serious gaze. How do I sever? Zhang Ik seems to understand what I am implying by looking at my intent. I see. Are you saying you can't sever it? Yes. Actually, the reason I tried to send an avatar through the middle zones of the ancient force realm to the lightning sacred sea where the esteemed ones are is for this. I reveal my inner thoughts without hesitation. I came to ask if there's an external method to reach that realm without severing, or if it's truly necessary to sever everything to attain that stage. Zhang Ik strokes his chin. First, let me explain to you the difference between a typical star-shattering stage and my realm. Those in the star-shattering stage are people whose connections and emotions have become futile after ascending. In contrast, I had to sever such things to reach this domain. I ponder the difference between the two. The star-shattering stage allows for emotions and connections during breakthrough, which naturally fade afterward. But this realm beyond seated detachment, standing oblivion, requires severing connections and emotions to even enter into it. However, I feel a strange feeling and ask, but doesn't the heaven-collapsing esteemed one have emotions? How do you know if I have emotions or not? Are you saying you can read my intent? He chuckles as he retrieves the golden apple he had tossed into the bonfire and takes a bite. Crunch. Somehow, despite being an apple, it oozes meat juices instead of fruit. The apple smells of protein. As Zhang Ik gnaws on the thing that can't be determined if it's apple or meat, he locks eyes with me. His mouth moves greedily, but his eyes are cold and empty. Indeed, it's incredibly difficult to read Zhang Ik's intent. His intent seems utterly hollow, vague, and doubtful whether it even exists. Perhaps, from the perspective of those who have reached 3 flowers gather at the summit, Zhang Ik is not a living being, but an exquisitely crafted meat puppet. Chwakik. It's when I am meeting his gaze for some time. I feel as if I am being sucked into his empty eyes. When I come to my senses, I find myself in a cosmic space where all stars shine green. It's an illusion induced by Zhang Ik's mental pressure. Kaguguguk. My mind feels like it's about to crumble. Feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, I look up and see a green nebula taking the form of Zhang Ik's face, looking down at me. This is the extent of the heaven-collapsing esteemed one's mind. It isn't just the size of his consciousness. The very meaning he has pursued all his life is that immense. At this rate, is he going to cook my brain? I can't maintain my focus under such pressure. However, I know one thing for sure. Zhang Ik has emotions, and he cherishes his connections. These are words I once heard from someone. I speak without yielding to his pressure. After being mocked that the heart is merely a metallic reaction and relaying that mockery to someone else, this was the reply. Seo Huiol had mocked Gu Ryan's heart, and Zhang Ik had responded with these words. If the heart is of the metal attribute, then according to the classification of cultivators, metal corresponds to Qian heaven. Hence the heart is as eternal as the heavens. I repeat the words of Zhang Ik from my previous life in front of the present Zhang Ik and shout. Isn't that right, O esteemed one? Is it not that the heart of a person can never be erased? As I make this declaration and refine my consciousness, I find myself back by the bonfire, free from Jangik's pressure. This one is quite something. Jangik crosses his arms and smiles while looking at me. That's right. Emotions can never be erased. That's why even when one becomes an esteemed one, they still have emotions, greed, and fear. Though I said that other esteemed ones lose their connections and emotions, in reality, they don't truly vanish. It's just a difference in perspective. So, does that mean the true way to reach the next realm is not to abandon emotions, but to properly acknowledge and refine them? No. He bites into the golden apple as if he doesn't understand what I'm saying. You must erase what cannot be erased. Do you understand? That's the only way to get here. Then how do you erase what cannot be erased? I told you, didn't I? You can't. He smiles while speaking incomprehensible words. To enter here, you must be able to erase what cannot be erased. Finding out how to do that will be the way of your future training. Strictly speaking, although I've accepted you as my disciple, there isn't much I can teach you. I can only give advice as someone who has gone ahead. Each individual in our heart tribe is entirely different. He points somewhere. When you entered the lightning sacred sea, you must have fallen into a region where even consciousness couldn't be used. Isn't that right? Yes. How did you get out? I raised the all-heavens sword to the plane of fate and cut through the space to escape. When I first arrived there, I stimulated my body to extend my sensory range, pulling the chi from outside that space to shatter the space and escape. As you can see, you and I have different methods of leaving the same place. I could recite my insights to you, but it wouldn't suit you nor be helpful. Surung. Jangik stands up from his seat and says, that's why, even among the disciples I have a master-student relationship with and whom I've helped, none are truly my successors. All I can do is assign them training tasks that I think might suit each disciple. I listened to his words with a serious expression. Now, I will assign you a training task as well. This is your first training task. He smiles slyly and says, go outside the lightning sacred sea and cut down a star. You can use the power of the heaven tribe, the earth tribe, a dharma treasure, or even someone else's help. No matter what method you use, destroy a star. I mean a star without any living beings on it. Don't invade some innocent planet and annihilate a civilization. Editor, note that the term star here can also more broadly refer to any heavenly body such as planets and moons. Boom. He swings his padao, and Jangik's padao turns into a ray of light that pierces my soul and embeds itself in my heart essence. Quack. Just like before, Jangik's padao takes its place on one side of my sword mountain. Pot. With a wave of his arm, Jangik sends me far away from the bonfire, sweeping me through vast space-time. Chwak. Countless scenes flash past me, and soon I arrive in an astral realm bathed in starlight. Kuguguguk. And in front of me, from where I have emerged, is a colossal decaying corpse realm shrouded in a dimensional barrier. That is one of Yang Sujin's remains. The decaying corpse realm is in the form of an enormous ring finger, each segment almost the size of Earth. Judging by its shape, it seems to be the left ring finger. Is Yang Sujin's immortal treasure a ring? The decaying corpse realm in the shape of a left ring finger has a circular indentation inside the finger. It's the mark of a ring that had been worn for a long time. The ring finger, referred to as the lightning sacred sea, is said to be the entrance to the space containing his immortal treasure. Therefore, reaching another space through traversing the lightning sacred sea suggests one mined the enormous ring. But to cut down a star. Contrary to my expectations of getting beaten up by Jangik, it seems his training method is simply to assign tasks without much interference. A star. I recall Jangik splitting a planet in half. With my current power, even if I mobilize the 3 great ultimates, I can only overturn the continent on the planet's surface. I should be able to put a slight crack on the planet, but that is my limit. It is also the limit of a typical grand perfection integration stage cultivator. If I raise my seated detachment, standing oblivion, and the heaven and earth tribe cultivation to the level of the grand perfection integration stage, borrowing the power of dharma treasures and formations, then it might somehow work. I think I understand what Jangik is trying to say. Is he telling me to first raise my cultivation to the highest point possible and then return? In the early stage of seated detachment, standing oblivion, although I imitated the strength of the grand perfection integration stage by using the physical body and consciousness of the heaven and earth tribes, my actual realm is still at the 4-axis stage. Alright, let's go back and elevate my realm to the utmost possible before returning. Resolving to do so, I seek out my incarnation, Hamjin. Wawoon. Since I originally crossed into the astral realm through Hamjin, we are connected, making it not too difficult to locate him. Pot. Hamjin landed on a star near the lightning sacred sea where life forms can survive. He is on one of the continents of the star. There, he has established a primitive tribal nation, and as the great chieftain, he is vigorously engaged in activities to proliferate his descendants. Hamjin. Huff, 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 huff. Sensing my presence, he emerges from his stone house to greet me. Oh, Wuji Ghost King. Has the Great One arrived? I have been spreading the teachings of the Wuji religious order here for the Great One. I have even promulgated the Wuji Ghost King ritual scripture. Oh good. Well done. Thanks to you. It will be a bit easier when I return. Now let's go back. Actually, I have 13 wives here, but I've only given love to 3 of them so far. Could I fairly distribute my love among all of them first? I chuckle in disbelief and reply. Come back after you reach the 4-axis stage. Understood. Then, let me bid farewell to my wives. He summons the chiefs, speaks to them briefly, and then receives bows from dozens of chiefs and wives before flying to me laden with numerous gifts, including stars, spirit stones, special products, and unique items. For some reason, he looks a bit downcast. No one tried to stop me. They all claimed to like me, but when I said I was leaving, they eagerly sent me off with bows and cheers. They are too much. I miss home. I want to see my wives back home. Quiet. Let's go. I enter Hamjin's body. That person named Jang said the star with the ancient force transmission array is that one. Right. I direct attraction force to land on the star where the middle zone of the ancient force realm is located. They said the worlds with middle zones are all on true persons' bodies. So this star is also a true person. And the world Hamjin resides on must also be a true person disguised as a decaying corpse realm. I wondered how the battle involving star-shattering stage cultivators occurred without the world being destroyed, but it seems it wasn't an issue because the world is a true person's body. Jang telling Hamjin about the location of the middle zone of the ancient force realm must be his way of indicating that I should use it. And if he indicated using it, it means the true person who had reached out to grab us earlier must be asleep again by now. In other words, there are no problems with returning. Wawoom. I, along with Hamjin, begin crossing vast space-time once again. Chapter 373, at the C3. In the meantime, I realize that Hamjin's cultivation has significantly advanced. Hamjin, you've already reached the late Chi building stage. Tot. I arrive in the middle zone of another star and ask. Actually, I briefly watched the person called Jang and the Wuji Ghost King sparring in the astral realm. Although I fainted halfway through for some reason. Thanks to that, I had an epiphany and gained new enlightenments, obtained a new divine ability, and my cultivation rose. You've gained quite an opportunity. Congratulations. What's the new divine power? In response, Hamjin moves his body to form a hand seal and draws spiritual power from his dantian to his fingertips. This is the spiritual power of Hamjin's Silica Earth Great Wall Secrets turns into a dark ink-like light. It's a darkness that has a similar quality to the darkness of outer space. As Hamjin swings his fingertip, the ink light turns into an ink-colored blade, an ink blade, Voreng, which flies across the star and slices through a small mountain. Kugugugugu. A definite core formation level strike. Impressive. Did you create this by observing the heaven collapsing esteemed one cleaving stars? Yes. Thank you for the compliment. Judging by its form, it seems to be a divine power created from the epiphany gained by watching Jang strike. Indeed, even at the Chi building stage, observing a star-shattering stage strike could provide enough enlightenment to create a divine ability. Of course, using this one technique drains all of Hamjin's spiritual power, but since Silica Earth Great Wall Secrets is a method where spiritual power continuously surges as long as the dragon vein is controlled, it isn't a major drawback. Once he reaches the core formation stage, he will likely be able to use it continuously, making it a life-saving trump card for Hamjin. Wawoom. I ask another question as we move through the middle zone again. What's the name of this technique? I named it Black Blade / Heiranjan. It's fitting since it's black, and it represents my resolve to cut down the Black Tomb Old Devil who tried to take over my body. The Black Tomb Old Devil was a great fate that threatened me, so I named it with the determination to cut down my fate. Black Blade / an excellent name. I nod and immediately create a method to refine Black Blade / and make it a technique one can cultivate with, combining Silica Earth Great Wall Secrets to form Black Blade Maturing Secrets. Hey Rung Changkandye. TL/N. Black Blade / is Aginchum. Silica Earth Great Wall Secrets is Itajangangur. MC took the beginning of Black Blade / Again, and the later of Silica Earth Great Wall Secrets, Jungsangur, and named it Injangangur. However, the Hanja for Jungzung is different, hence it means maturing secrets, not Great Wall Secrets. Over the course of several days and nights, we crossed numerous middle zones and finally returned to Hamjin's world. Coom. Phew. I emerge from Hamjin's body, congratulating the exhausted Hamjin. Thank you. I've gained a lot thanks to your cooperation. No, I am the one who received an excessively great opportunity. I will grant you a spirit fruit to extend your lifespan later. Let's meet in the upper realms someday. Pot. As I reclaim my consciousness, I smile at Hamjin, who bows deeply as I return to the ancient force realm. Hamjin watches Seo Eunhyun disappear into the void and looks at his fingertips. TSTSTST. For a moment, his nails turn black, and then a sharp black blade forms on his hand. Black blade maturing secrets. To bestow such an excellent method. How can I ever repay this grace? Hamjin ponders and finally makes up his mind. Yes, that person told me to meet him in the upper realms. Someday I will ascend. I will become a heavenly being beyond even what my master could aspire for, and ascend to the upper realms. I will become someone who can assist the great Wuji Ghost King. I will properly join the Wuji religious order. He finally sets a goal for his life. It is to ascend and repay the grace he received from the Wuji Ghost King by standing by his side. Boom. When Hamjin swings his hand, a sharp black blade shoots out from his hand and cuts through a nearby cliff. I will refine this black blade countless times and definitely reach him. Thus, it won't be long before Hamjin, who trains in the black blade maturing secrets, becomes a core formation sage god and earns the title of Black Blade King. Feng. The legend of Black Blade King Hamjin has just begun. Blink. I open my eyes. Since I've been focusing my primary consciousness entirely on my avatar while fighting Jangik, my main body was in a comatose state. My comrades must have been greatly alarmed. I need to explain properly. Clink, clink. For some reason, my body and limbs are bound to a chair and my mouth is gagged. Moreover, wax-like candles are placed on my hands, knees, and head, with melted wax dripping down. In front of me, Yunwei is dressed like a shaman and is performing a ritual with a mountain of ancient stones piled up around her. Hiet. Look. The cult leader has awakened. She stops the ritual, wipes her sweat, and approaches me. Are you alright? What kind of deep-sea monster's deep-sea curse did you get hit with? Deep-sea curse. Since my mouth is gagged, I ask with mental speech, and Yunwei explains about the deep-sea curse. She says they have been gathering ancient stones and materials from the sea domains to treat the deep-sea curse and save me. I feel grateful, but can't help but feel absurd and laugh wryly. Haha. I'm sorry, but I wasn't afflicted by a deep-sea curse. I was temporarily mentally bound in the lower realms due to a complicated incident. The reason my blood was boiling was because I awakened an immortal beast talent, and the reason for the blood splattering from my 7 orifices was probably because I directly faced a true person's true body. Yunwei is silent for a moment after hearing my words, then in a fit of rage, strikes my head with the bell she is holding. You bastard. Judging by your words, you're not the cult leader but an evil spirit possessing the cult leader's body. Come out of that body immediately, evil spirit. Jingle, jingle. I sigh as I get hit several times by the bell, which exerts force on my spiritual body. Wooduk, woodaduk. The chains binding my body are torn apart, and the gag on my mouth shatters. This bastard, Keck. Clench. After I subdue Yunwei by grabbing her face and lifting her up, I shake her brain with a palm strike, causing her to faint. Her eyes flip as she passes out on the floor. I then summon Hong Fan. Pot. Hong Fan pierces through space and appears before me, bowing. Master, have you returned? Was it indeed Lady Yunwei's method that was effective? After explaining the truth to Hong Fan, I ask him a question. Was there any trouble while I was in a comatose state? Hong Fan's face turns pale. I sense something has happened. Let's go to the conference room. Wuji Religious Hall conference room. There, I receive an unbelievable report. So, while the leaders went to gather ancient stones and left the headquarters, the remaining members, Yukyeo, Baek Rin, and Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun, were kidnapped by the fighting demon pirate gang. Butaduk. Hong Fan speaks with a hardened face. To be precise, when Yukyeo and Baek Rin were kidnapped, the 2 kings rushed to retrieve them, but ended up getting captured as well. That's why Lady Yunwei tried to wake Master up early. Where are they now? The fighting demon pirate gang's Saltbones ship has a peculiar ability to dive into the deep sea of the ancient force realm. Currently, it's said, to be roaming around the deep sea of the ancient force realm. Do they tend to abuse their hostages? Kim Young-hoon shakes his head at my question. Probably not. More than 90% of the fighting demon pirate gang are from the fighting ghost race, and the remaining 10% are from the demon race, having nothing to do with humans. The fighting ghost race, they look similar to the human race, but their reproduction method is extremely unique. Reproduction method? Yes, they charge at their preferred partners and fight while mating. Their offspring are insane creatures who go into heat and feel extreme pleasure during combat. Because of this, they generally ignore and neglect those they capture as prisoners since they can't fight. Hearing this, John Myung-hoon shudders, a look of repulsion on his face. So, when that bastard fought me. Enough chit-chat. My breath turns into frost, causing the meeting room to start icing over. From now on, we will find and rescue our cult members. Focusing intently with eyes as cold as ice, I begin to track Kim Yun's location. Since Kim Yun is connected through the mysterious bizarre goo and the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, I can find her location if given some time. Just hold on a little longer. Clenching my teeth, I think of Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun. The depths of the ancient Force Realm's deep sea. Within the hull of the Saltbones ship, two women are arguing inside a prison cell within the ship. No, you shouldn't have rushed in recklessly. It's you who should have at least run and reported it. What were you thinking? Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun are confined in adjacent cells, their limbs bound as they argue. Are you telling me to abandon our followers and run away? Your loyalty is admirable. Now we're both stuck here together. What good is that? After arguing for a while, the two, exhausted and panting, sighed deeply. What a mess this is. Tell me about it. After some time, the cell next to the one where they are held opens, and Yukio is thrown in. The fighting ghost race warriors who threw Yukio then toss Baek Rin into the cell next to hers, laughing as they move away. Kim Yun looks at Yukio. Although the fighting ghost race doesn't usually abuse their prisoners, it seems Yukio was often dragged in front of Jean Mayol and mistreated. We need to escape quickly. At Kim Yun's words, Bu Qianghua chuckles dryly. How do you plan to escape? Even if we get out of here, the Saltbones ship is submerged in the deep sea, so we can't get outside. Didn't I manage to control your Bu Qiang fleet? I think I can control this ship too. Wake up. My Bu Qiang ship was half controlled by a puppet mechanism, making it possible to take control. The Saltbones ship, on the other hand, is entirely a manually operated Dharma treasure. You won't even have the opportunity to seize control. Hearing this, Kim Yun suddenly asks Bu Qianghua a question. Then, why not modify this Saltbones ship into your Bu Qiang ship? What? Last time, I saw you quickly modify the ship I had seized and took it back, right? Can't you modify this ship to control it as well? It's possible, but how would we do that? We're both tied up like this. Kim Yun smirks and moves her arm a few times. Then, all of a sudden, clang, clang, clang. The chains binding her arms snap. Seeing this, Bu Qianghua's eyes widen in astonishment. Be breaking the Dharma treasure that suppresses spiritual power with brute strength. Spiritual power is suppressed, but my internal energy isn't. Kim Yun says with a gentle smile. Of course, I can't win against those fighting ghost race bastards in a head-on fight, so a frontal assault is impossible. I'll free you too, so you need to modify this ship as quickly as possible to escape. Got it. Wadoodle. Bending the bars and moving into Bu Qianghua's cell, Kim Yun releases her cuffs. Bu Qianghua looks at her for a moment in a daze before smiling. All right, Yuni. Jean Mayol, the captain of the fighting demon pirate gang, is staring outside with a cold expression from his captain's cabin. Due to the heavy spatial compression, the interior of the Saltbones ship is extremely vast, akin to a nether-crossing ship, making his captain's cabin the size of a small city. Coon. Jean Mayol looks out through the window of the captain's cabin. Even a day earlier, I need to obtain it as soon as possible. But Yukio, that fish-headed bitch. Gritting his teeth, he glares at the scenery outside. He is staring down at the gigantic sea dragon statue deep within the depths of the deep sea. The secret art of purple soul filling the heavens, Duan Montan, is within reach. A strange excitement fills Jean Mayol's eyes as he gazes at the sea dragon statue. Yes, let's wait just a bit longer. Then, I will achieve the state of unaging and undying Gloxia with this mortal body. Chapter 374, at the C4. Kim Yun asks after shattering Bu Qianghua's shackles. By the way, us doing this. We won't get caught in someone's consciousness domain, right? Bu Qianghua clicks her tongue and says, Did you really free me without thinking about that? I just had a gut feeling it would be okay. Well, you're not entirely wrong. After all, the Saltbones ship is similar to the Nether Crossing ship in that it's like a massive country inside. Moreover, the waves emitted by the Saltbones ship restrict one's consciousness quite a bit, so they won't notice us doing this. I knew it all along. Stop saying foolish things and help me out, Yuni. Bu Qianghua stretches her fingers and places her hand against the ship's wall. Chijijic. Golden patterns, along with a mix of purple and pale pink patterns, appear all over her body. What the? You've got tattoos too. They're not tattoos, but a physical characteristic. Sorry. Kim Yun scratches her head and slightly lowers her head. Bu Qianghua watches her for a moment before getting back to work. Using the broken pieces of the shackles as materials, she creates a small tool. Starting from there, numerous devices begin to appear around Bu Qianghua. Initially yawning while watching Bu Qianghua, Kim Yun's eyes grew wide as time passes. What in the world? Kugugugugu. In a small sea domain of the ancient force realm, there appears a ghost king with 19 heads and his subordinates. Is this the place? Yeah. The ghost king with 19 heads, Wuji Ghost King Seo Eunhyun, gazes at the sea below with brightened eyes as he is connected to a pure white consciousness thread. Down below, I sense the mysterious bizarre ghost king Kim Yan. Surely, the conqueror king Bu Qianghua and the guardian ghost king Baek Rin are with her. So, do we just need to go down and come back? The six-armed thunder god, Six Extremes ghost king John Myung-hoon, asks. But Seo Eunhyun shakes his head. According to the natives, recklessly diving into the deep sea of the ancient force realm is a dangerous act. Moreover, Kim Yun's presence is not in the shallow coastal waters, but in the very depths of the deep sea. Then what do you plan to do? John Myung-hoon looks puzzled, and Seo Eunhyun chuckles as he spreads his arms. Kagugugu. The surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy starts converging on Seo Eunhyun, drawn by his great desert to Dead Sea. What do you think I'm going to do? Wu Wong. He draws the colorless glass sword and smiles. To not be touched by the deep sea, we'll just have to split it apart. As his mental speech echoes, all the leaders of the Wuji religious order who have come with Seo Eunhyun begin to exert their power. John Myung-hoon grins widely and spreads his six arms. Kagugugu. John Myung-hoon's domain unfolds. Integrated Tao domain, Frau. Charged lightning veil of the great heavenly rain, Kadan B, Lei, Daitan. Quajajijik. In an instant, the surrounding space transforms into an alternate dimension where red lightning, Shui, rains down like a torrential downpour. Red lightning covers the sky. However, by John Myung-hoon's will, the red lightning passes through his group without causing any harm and falls straight to the bottom. Quaruru. The domain of crashing red lightning begins to push away the lower sea of dimensions. Then, the other leaders of the Wuji religious order begin to exert their power in that direction. Quaquaquaquang. Countless attraction forces, ghostly power, and devilish power pour forth. Meanwhile, Seo Eunhyun's hands begin to imbue with the powers of curses and blessings. The energy of yin-yang and five elements begin to permeate the dimensional sea below, where the lightning falls. Great mountain. Hot. Splitting emperor. A pure white light begins to swirl. Underscore. Jean Mayul's eyes twitch. Kugugugugu. His saltbone ship is shaking violently. Hot. Someone uses the ground-shrinking technique to rush into the captain's cabin where Jean Mayul resides. It's the vice-captain of the saltbone ship and a Grand Perfection 4-axis cultivator, Jean Ryu. What is it, vice-captain? An enemy attack. No, captain. The saltbone ship has gone mad. What? The saltbone ship's keel is shaking wildly and making strange noises. What kind of dragon chewing on grass nonsense is that? However, shortly after moving to the keel of the ship with Jean Ryu does Jean Mayul understand the situation. Zyra Rururu. The keel of the saltbone ship, made of salt crystals, is emitting a sound similar to that made by the fighting ghost race during mating. Jean Mayul looks at the salt crystals emitting white light and making strange noises with a startled expression. Why is this happening? Jean Mayul is bewildered. Despite having lived for about 10,000 years, he has never heard of salt crystals making such bizarre noises. After a moment of confusion, he appears to think of something and flinches. I see. Is it a deep-sea monster? Is there a deep-sea monster that can make salt crystals go into heat? Well, the deep sea of the ancient force realm holds records of countless worlds, so such things might exist. A deep-sea monster might be nearby, so I will activate the Great Concealment Technique. Tell everyone to prepare. Yes, Captain. Jean Mayul clicks his tongue and returns to the captain's cabin. He then sits at the center of a huge formation in the middle of the cabin and begins to form hand seals. Wong. His domain begins to expand around him. As his formation activates, it amplifies Jean Mayul's domain, gradually enveloping the entire saltbone ship. Integrated Tao domain, Frau. Great Concealment Dragon Spirit Sea, Duh. In an instant, the sound of a dragon's roar seems to echo, and Jean Mayul's domain swiftly envelopes the hull, blending the saltbone ship with the surrounding deep-sea scenery, making it almost invisible to any watchful eyes. Jean Mayul sits down and focuses on his domain, sending a voice transmission throughout the ship. This is the captain's order. It is currently suspected that a deep-sea monster is lurking around the saltbone ship. Because of this, the keel of the ship is making disturbing noises. Until the deep-sea monster has completely passed or the keel's reactions have ceased, we will remain in the concealed domain. Therefore, all crew members must remain. Jean Mayol suddenly falls silent and stops speaking. As he sits and concentrates, his eyes snap open. Damn it, the prisoners are up to something suspicious. Everyone, head to the cells and subdue them. The domains of integration stage grand cultivators are intertwined with their consciousness, so grand cultivators can perceive all actions within their domains. Jean Mayol, who enveloped the Saltbones ship, grits his teeth as he observes Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua doing something suspicious in the cells. Damn it, Conqueror King. Although he wants to immediately get up and subdue them, he can't move recklessly as a suspicious deep-sea monster is stimulating the Saltbones ship's keel, leaving him no choice but to bite his lips in frustration. Underscore, underscore. The vice captain, Jean Ryu, leads her subordinates to the lower deck where the cells are located, wearing a nonchalant expression. Each and every one of them are nothing but boring things. There's no point in fighting. The Conqueror King and the mysterious bizarre Ghost King are experts in puppet control. Thus, the fighting ghost race pirates would have to fight against puppets. For the fighting ghost race who can only satisfy their lust by engaging in combat and mingling flesh with their opponent, puppet cultivators are not attractive partners. The only one who caught Jean Ryu's interest during the battle to capture them was the Ghost King Baek Rin. But since Baek Rin is a ghostly creature, it is impossible to copulate with non-ghostly entities. In short, the members of the Wuji religious order are unappealing and pointless opponents for the fighting ghost race. Puppeteers, what's the point of them? In my time, puppeteers used puppets as support while they fought as true warriors themselves. Nowadays, each and every puppeteer is bizarre and weird. Jean Ryu spits out her disdain for Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua who use puppets as she enters the cell area. And what Jean Ryu sees in the cell area are thousands of complex mechanisms. What in the world? Clang, clang, clang. All of a sudden, the cell area has somehow been transformed into a bizarre labyrinth. The labyrinth extends in a straight line, but the entire path is filled with what looks like powerful mechanical devices and weapons, with countless grotesque puppets lined up between them. At the end of the labyrinth, Kim Yun stands with a sinister smile, her arms hanging down. Consciousness threads extend from her fingertips, connecting to countless puppets, while Bu Qianghua, equipped with spider-like puppet limbs, is continuing to modify the area behind. Jean Ryu laughs dryly. Conqueror King and mysterious bizarre Ghost King. I've heard of both your reputations, but I didn't expect this. However, it's pointless. If you surrender now, I'll merely put you back in your cells quietly. If you resist, I'll tear off your limbs and bind you. However, Kim Yun merely flicks a single finger. Wawoom. Flash. 3 mass-produced General CO puppets, modified by Kim Yun under CO Eunhyun's tutelage, fire beams from their mouths. Quong. After taking the beams from the mass-produced General CO puppets at the grand perfection nascent soul level, Jean Ryu's eyes twitch and she takes a step forward. Well, fine. If you insist on drinking punishment wine, I'll oblige. Quong. The fighting ghost race appears almost identical to humans in appearance. The primary difference is that the fighting ghost race is born with well-developed muscles throughout their bodies, which swell further as they grow, with horns developing from their foreheads. The more horns one has, the more talent they are considered to possess. Those with fewer horns are treated with disdain even within the fighting ghost race. The royal family of the fighting ghost race has 7 horns, and the highest nobility has 5 to 6. The middle nobility has 4. The lower nobility has 3. Commoners have 1 or 2, and slaves have their horns removed, marking them worthless. Captain Jean Mayol of the fighting demon pirate gang is a high noble with 5 horns, while the vice captain, Jean Ryu, is a middle noble with 4 horns. Wawoom. Jean Ryu's horns tremble as strength surges through her muscles. Quong quong. With an indifferent expression, Jean Ryu crushes the puppets charging at her and begins walking through the labyrinth. The distance between Jean Ryu and Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua gradually shortens. Kim Yun glances at Baek Rin, lying beside her. Baek Rin has just been released from his restraints and needs time to recover his strength. How much longer, Book? Almost done, Yuni. And please call me by my proper name. Got it, Wawa. Ugh. Kim Yun chuckles and focuses her mind on the consciousness threads extending from her fingertips. I listen well, my disciple. It's as if the Mad Lord, who had taught her the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and puppet control while driven mad by insanity, is speaking beside her. What do you think is the reason the wonderfully mysterious fortress keeps winning against any force it fights? A strange madness begins to glimmer in her eyes. Is it because we simply overwhelm them with superior technology and numbers? That is certainly true. But the most important thing is this. Madness. Any force that fights against the wonderfully mysterious fortress, regardless of who they are and whether they know or not, gradually becomes infected by the heart of the wonderfully mysterious fortress during battle. In other words, those who fight us gradually open up to the possibility of evolution. Quang, quang, quang. As Jean Ryu continues to crush the General CO puppets with an expressionless face, her face begins to twitch. Ah yes, my wonderfully mysterious fortress is love. A love that guides everyone to a new world. It's the ultimate embodiment of benevolence. Ah, how magnificent a creation have I made. Those who face the puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress, breaking them, fighting them, and confronting the fortress itself. They inadvertently stare directly at the circuits of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Gradually, the circuits of the fortress are engraved into their subconscious, and they begin to be tainted by their madness. The more they fight the wonderfully mysterious fortress, the more they lose their sanity and go mad. And when both sides are driven mad, the ultimate victory has no choice but to belong to the Mad Lord's forces, who have long accustomed to the madness. Choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo. Kim Yun starts biting her lips furiously. Blood begins to flow from her lips, and excitement and madness gradually spreads across Jean Ryu's face as she continues to destroy the General CO puppets. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Jean Ryu laughs. It had been the same when they captured the mysterious bizarre Ghost King before. Fighting puppets isn't enjoyable, but fighting Kim Yun's puppets somehow always leads to a moment of excitement. Ho ha ha ha. Wawoom. Zyra rurururu. Jean Ryu's horn trembles and begins to emit a strange sound. Jean Ryu's face turns bright red. The muscles all over Jean Ryu's body begin to swell even more. Before long, the faces of General CO puppets overlap with Jean Mayul's face in her eyes. Captain, 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 Aya, Jean Mayul Orabioni. Jean Ryu begins to savagely pummel the General COs with a flushed face. Ha-he-hawk, he-ha-hack. Even while descending into madness, she manages to keep some semblance of sanity and approaches Kim Yun. Ah, I'm on the verge of going on a rampage. Jean Ryu sighs inwardly. This is why the fighting ghost race dislikes facing puppeteers. Even if they think they enjoyed themselves, upon regaining their senses, they find only hard puppet fragments instead of the opponent's flesh. The realization that they did a round with puppets brings a rush of shame and discomfort rather than satisfaction and joy. However, seeing the puppets charging at her, Jean Ryu eventually sighs and swings her fist. Ugh, I don't know. Whether it's a tool or whatever, let's just enjoy and think later. Zeek. Her entire body flushes red as her muscles swell even more. The four horns on Jean Ryu's forehead vibrate madly. Zyro-ru-ru-ru-ru. Hoea. Kaiya. Kwawa. Kiikik. As she lets out an alluring cry as if to seduce her opponents, she smashes through the surrounding puppets with her eyes rolled back, advancing forward. Chapter 375, at the C5. Jean Ryu's momentum is fierce. She relentlessly crushes the puppets charging at her and endures the beams and traps falling upon her body, rushing forward undeterred. Click, click, click. However, the more puppets she shatters, the more they reassemble on the spot and begin to bind her body. Gradually, Jean Ryu's body becomes encased in a puppet armor, but her steps do not falter. Quang, 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 quang. The floor of the ship is dented with each step. As Jean Ryu draws closer, tension begins to appear on Kim Yun's face. She breaks into a cold sweat as she looks at Jean Ryu's blood-red, hammer-like hands. That really hurt. It was Jean Ryu who captured Kim Yun, and with one hit from her pot lid-sized hands, Kim Yun was knocked out cold. In an urgent voice, Kim Yun shouts at Bu Qianghua. She's almost here. How much longer until it's finished? It's almost done. Stop rushing me. Damn it. Don't you know how to hurry? Move faster. Quang. At last, Jean Ryu destroys Kim Yun's final puppet, glaring at her with a bright red face. A face that seems to say something is still not enough. Of course, Kim Yun can confront her alone, but having heard of the mating methods of the fighting ghost race, she dares not recklessly do so. Hurry. Faster. Kim Yun's face turns pale as she reaches behind her and, in a state of panic, yanks Bu Qianghua's hair. Kya. Let go. It's done. Bu Qianghua, irritated by the pain as if her scalp is being torn off, activates the device she has been modifying. Flash. Kurik. Jean Ryu, who is acting coquettishly, feels something strange. Something becomes wrong with her senses. Clang, 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 clang. The passageway she is standing on suddenly flips, and she sees Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun moving to a different location. No, the entire maze-like corridor that Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun have modified is splitting into segments and moving around. What is this? It's such an absurd situation that she snaps out of her state of heat and opens her eyes wide. Bu Qianghua, looking at the mechanism connected to her pattern and glowing, shouts. It's done. The modified spaces have been transferred to each section of the Saltbones ship, and we can now modify it quickly in a simplified manner. You need to help now, Yuni. Got it. Kim Yun grasps Bu Qianghua's hand and begins to infuse consciousness. Whining. Kim Yun's consciousness threads spread throughout the Saltbones ship. She connects with the consciousness of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon embedded in Bu Qianghua's head to rapidly exchange thoughts with her. I'll tell you the locations to modify and the methods through consciousness, so follow it exactly. All right, quickly. Bu Qianghua gives instructions to Kim Yun, and following her orders, Kim Yun begins modifying the entire Saltbones ship through the transmitted modified spaces in real time. Good. Now the ship itself has become somewhat puppetized. Great. Then please send me the blueprint. Here. After a brief look at the blueprint, Bu Qianghua's eyes brighten as she grasps Kim Yun's hand. That wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon thing. Can you connect it more strongly with my mind? Yeah, I can, but... Then please do it quickly. After a moment's hesitation, Kim Yun connects her consciousness more tightly with Bu Qianghua's. Instantly, the space they are in turns into a command room under Bu Qianghua's influence. Cling, 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 cling. The command room and the other modified sections of the Saltbones ship are connected with the circuits of the Mad Lord through Kim Yun's wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Transforming the Saltbones ship into a small-scale, wonderfully mysterious fortress happens in an instant. Kagugugu. Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua extend their consciousness and look up at the ceiling. Bu Qianghua remarks, I'm going to take us out of the deep sea. Let's go. Ku. The Saltbones ship lifts its bow diagonally upwards. Then, the Saltbones ship begins to move. Wu-wong. Cutting through the deep sea of the ancient force realm, it moves forward with its bow pointed diagonally upward, and a thunderous voice resounds throughout the entire ship. You damned. What are you doing to my ship? The enraged voice of Jean Mayol echoes throughout the ship. Get your hands off my ship. I'll kill you. Kagugugu. Jean Mayol's domain moves, pressing down on Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun. However, when Kim Yun manipulates something, Jean Mayol's pressure is instantly dispersed by the devices in the command room. Kim Yun frowns as she reads the blood-reddened fury of Jean Mayol. That person will soon come down here. Baek Rin needs to wake up quickly. Bu Qianghua looks at the still unconscious Baek Rin. Baek Rin's ghostly power has somewhat recovered, but he still hasn't regained consciousness. Kim Yun also glances at Baek Rin with a worried expression and then flinches before looking around. Jean Mayol has retracted his domain. If an integration stage breaks through everything and comes down here, what should we do? But Bu Qianghua shakes her head with a meaningful smile at Kim Yun's worry. No, that won't happen. What? As a fellow shipmaster, I know. He will never recklessly destroy his own ship. He will try to navigate through the maze we created as much as possible and come to us. What? But you self-destructed your own ship. It felt like sacrificing my own child. But I had other ships, so it was possible. That fighting ghost race has only one Saltbones ship, so his attachment to it is on a whole different level. Bu Qianghua, with a confident expression, steers the Saltbones ship to the surface. In short, we still have time before Jean Mayol gets here. Quong. Shattering the walls of the command room, Jean Mayol, who has flown straight down from the captain's room, creating a hole throughout the Saltbones ship, locks eyes with them in fury. What's this, Qianghua? You were wrong. Transmit. Click. Silently, Bu Qianghua presses a button, and she and Kim Yun, along with Baek Rin and Yukkyo, are transmitted to another part of the Saltbones ship. Clang, clang, clang. Bu Qianghua avoids Kim Yun's gaze, who is staring at her silently, and restructures the new location into another command room. From now on, your name is Wawa. Got it. Bu Qianghua only puffs up her cheeks at Kim Yun's scolding. Kagugugu. How far have we excavated down the deep sea with the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique and John Myonghun's domain? I finally arrive at the location where the signal from the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon was connected. However, there is nothing there. Damn it, what's this? The signal from the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon was definitely connected in this vicinity. What's this, Seo Eunhyun? Didn't you say Kim Yun is around here? Where is she? John Myonghun asks while spreading his domain to prevent the deep sea of the ancient force realm from encroaching. I close my eyes and operate the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon more precisely. Due to the countless overlapping waves of dimensions, my consciousness can't connect well. In the midst of this, I sense something. Jing. Over there. Kim Yun and the pirate gang are currently moving somewhere. What? Where are they moving to? I look diagonally upwards. It seems they are trying to rise to the surface. Did they detect us? Perhaps. All right. Then let's chase after them. No. Instead of chasing, Let's rise back to the surface and head to a place where they are likely to emerge. Once they rise above a certain level, I can use the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique to evaporate the deep sea. The leaders of the Wuji religious order nod and prepare to rise. Suddenly, I notice a strange shadow deep within the deep sea. It's the shadow of a sea dragon. And on the sea dragon's nape, there are characters written in the Netherworld's language that I learned from Black Ghost Valley. Blood, Een, Shiyin. Lofty Dragon, Zhonglong. Ancient Force, Guli. Myriad Realms Beneath, Wanjit. Seed Dispersal, Black Yin Strategy, Xingyin Zhuji. Ancient Force Division, Blibu, complete. Reading the written characters, my eyes brighten. I stare at the object for a moment and then extend my hand. Kuguguguk. It's fixed in one place in the deep sea, similar to the deep sea island that Yunwei mentioned. On closer inspection, the body itself is a massive stone statue made of ancient stone. A stone statue carved into the shape of a sea dragon. Kuguguguk. I compress the space with attraction force, forcibly tearing the statue fixed in the deep sea and take it into my embrace before rising. I need to investigate this. The appearance of the sea dragon race that Xiao Huiol always takes. And Xiao Huiol, who seems to have some connection with the Bloodine realm. Xiao Huiol, who always communicated with the Black Dragon King Hien Uem as the Grand Prince of the Sea Dragon race. There might be a clue to their connection. TL/N. The Korean characters for Hien Uem are the same as Black Een. The Hanja for Black Een actually translates to Black Shade, but there's a likely chance it's a typo by the author, so I'm translating it as Black Een. No, Wawa. You said he'd cherish his own ship. Who knew that despicable pirate would destroy his own ship to come for us? What are you going to do? He'll soon reach us again. You're the Yuni. Do something about it. Stop saying stupid things. Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua are busily moving their hands while exchanging words in a heated argument. In the midst of this, Baek Rin, who is beside them, opens his eyes. Cook. Conqueror King, mysterious bizarre ghost king. I apologize, but where are we? Kim Yun quickly conveys the current situation through consciousness using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Baek Rin lets out a low sigh. So, you're saying we still have a long way to go to reach the surface, but Jean Mayol will soon catch us? Yes. If we get caught, the ship will be restored to its original state, and we'll be stuck in the deep sea again. Yum. As they sigh with hardened faces, Yukio coughs and stands up. She wipes the blood from her mouth and takes a deep breath. I will be the bait. Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun flinch in surprise at her words. Baek Rin's eyes blaze with blue ghost fire. What are you talking about? Do you wish to die? However, Yukio only gives a bitter smile, unfazed by Baek Rin's pressure. What Jean Mayol wants is me. In the first place, everyone was caught while trying to rescue me, so I should take responsibility. I will move around the Saltbones ship to draw his attention. Meanwhile, the rest should pull the Saltbones ship to the surface and escape. You foolish thing. How long do you think a mere nascent soul like you can run away for? My dragon form disguise method decreases the toughness of my skin and my attack power when I transform into a dragon, especially lowering my speed. That's why I was captured by the Wuji religious order initially. But following the advice of the Wuji Ghost King, I can now reverse this method. By doing so, I can maintain my form while becoming faster and stronger. Yukio's eyes are resolute. I've lived my life running and scamming. It's better for me to be captured than for the three of you. In fact, if it's me, I can scam my way out and escape more easily, so please don't worry. Before anyone can stop her, Yukio leaves the command room. Watching her, Baek Rin seems restless and speaks to Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun. I apologize, your highnesses. The cult leader ordered me to look after Yukio, so by the cult leader's command, I must. Kim Yun examines Baek Rin's intent and laughs lightly, nodding. Go ahead, Sir Baek Rin. As you said, she's just a nascent soul. If a four-axis like you accompanies her, you can stall for time properly. Thank you, your highness mysterious bizarre ghost king. Baek Rin quickly bows to Kim Yun and immediately chases after Yukio, emitting a streak of light. Kim Yun watches them leave, then once again uses her consciousness to sense the entire ship before speaking. Indeed, Jean Mayol has changed directions from coming toward us to heading toward Yukio and Baek Rin. We need to reach the surface as soon as possible while they buy us time. Can you do it? Yes, While infusing spiritual power into mechanical devices, Bu Qianghua frowns. What's wrong? My spiritual power is depleted. Wawa. That's why I told you to reach the heavenly being stage quickly. Do you think it's as easy as it sounds? What's so hard about it? Kim Yun chuckles and places her hand on Bu Qianghua's back, infusing her with spiritual power. Wing. Connected through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Bu Qianghua blushes red the moment she feels Kim Yun's spiritual power pouring into her. Wait, this person? For a moment, Bu Qianghua seems to see a soft pink light. For Bu Qianghua, who has received both consciousness and spiritual power from Kim Yun, a part of Kim Yun's emotions also flows in for a moment. Affection, longing, curiosity, joy, desire. They are emotions directed towards someone that cannot be described with words. But if one were to dare attach a name to it, it would be an emotion of warmth. For a moment, Bu Qianghua feels as if she is in the embrace of her mother, Yun, beyond that soft pink light. Wawoom. The patterns on Bu Qianghua's face glow brightly, as if burning. Move aside, Yuni. Bu Qianghua takes a breath and extends her hands. Simultaneously, the spider leg puppet attached to her back begins to move. Click, 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 click. What's this? Kim Yun looks at Bu Qianghua with a slightly surprised expression. Her hands are moving even faster than before. Feeling as if Bu Qianghua is possessed by something, Kim Yun stares at her with a strange look. From now on, we will make the mechanical device we created go berserk all at once. It's not something we intended to use permanently anyway. It will cause the ship to quickly rise to the surface faster. Once we reach the sea surface, Yuni, please quickly contact the cult leader with your consciousness. If the cult leader sends even Sir Kim Young-hoon, the situation will be resolved in an instant. Wawayu. And Bu Qianghua shouts at Kim Yun. My name is Bu Qianghua, not Bukwawa. Kim Yun smiles softly as she looks at her and pats Bu Qianghua's head. Got it, Qianghua. Don't bring your face so close. It's already big and burdensome as is. As Kim Yun's face draws closer, Bu Qianghua blushes and gives a scolding remark. Kim Yun playfully flicks Bu Qianghua's forehead before they start controlling the Saltbones ship together. However, the two no longer argue as they did before. Chapter 376, at the sea, 6. Quang. From a corner of the Saltbones ship, the area where alcohol is stored, an explosion echoes outwards. Due to spatial compression, the space, as large as a small city, is filled with an enormous amount of alcohol. From lower realm drinks like rice wine, moonshine, and wine, to high-quality middle realm liquors like spirit nectar, white red wine, and true moon dew, the enormous explosion just now has shattered their containers, causing the alcohol to flow throughout the storage area. Baek Rin, holding Yukyo with one arm, is breathing heavily in that space. Quagwagwagwang. Several members of the fighting ghost race, including Jean Mayul, fall before them. Jean Mayul, with an excited expression, smiles as his muscles bulge. Zyra Rurururu. All 5 of Jean Mayul's horns are vibrating simultaneously. This, fighting you who is holding Yukyo feels like I'm actually fighting Yukyo herself. I have no interest in Yukyo with her insect-like skills, but focusing only on her face during battle makes it feel like I'm doing what I wanted with Yukyo. It's very enjoyable. His face is flushed red. Baek Rin burst out with rage. Filthy bastard. Do not look at her with those eyes. Who are you calling filthy? Yukyo is my betrothed, designated by the governing Dragon Palace Lord. On the contrary, isn't it rather you who is the one running away after kidnapping my betrothed? Who abuses their betrothed like that? Stop spouting nonsense. It's the traditional culture of our fighting ghost race. Is there a problem? If Yukyo doesn't want to be mistreated by me, she should also grow stronger, elevate her realm, and have a joyful battle together with me. Don't talk dog's hit. Do you think I haven't encountered ghostly creatures of the fighting ghost race in the Nether Ghost realm? The fighting ghost race always takes those of the same realm as betrothed, and consider fighting in the same realm as virtue. What you are doing is simply bullying the weak. Is there a problem with disciplining a thief who stole my belongings? Jean Mayul smiles sinisterly and extends his palm towards Baek Rin and Yukyo. Quang. A gigantic palm strike flies towards Baek Rin, who swiftly evades it. The enormous barrel of alcohol behind Baek Rin shatters in an instant, and the alcohol inside flows out, turning the nearby area into a sea of wine. Quadaduk. The sea of wine freezes due to Baek Rin's energy and ghostly energy, and ice spikes formed from the alcohol surge up. Without using any spells, Jean Mayul shatters the ice spikes purely with his physical strength and charges at Baek Rin. Come, Bonefellow. Stop with the nonsense and make me more joyful. Make me happier. Kook. With an excited expression, Jean Mayul gathers energy in the air to create a chain sickle and swings it at Baek Rin. Quabigagak. The land of ice created by Baek Rin is shattered in one blow. Chwererarik. Jean Mayul's chain sickle wriggles as if alive, continually chasing Baek Rin. Finally, the chain sickle descends towards Baek Rin. Yukyo tightly closes her eyes, and Baek Rin shouts as he emits ghost fire. White bone shedding shell strategy, first form. Quang. It looks as if the chain sickle pierces through Baek Rin's body, but Baek Rin splits into hundreds and thousands of afterimages, all fleeing in different directions. Moreover, since all the afterimages are holding Yukyo, it's nearly impossible to tell which one is real. However, Jean Mayol licks his lips and becomes even more excited. Good. Very good. If a bug-like creature can't fight, it should at least have the skills to run away to make it enjoyable to catch. With a highly excited expression, Jean Mayol swells his muscles and wildly swings his chain sickle in all directions. Quong. It's as if a storm of chain sickles is raging. After a while, 2/3 of Beck Rin's fleeing after images in the hall are annihilated, and the remaining third is being quickly destroyed by Jean Mayol's hunting. Stop there, resist more. Ha! Make me happier. The real Beck Rin and Yukio, without looking back at the chilling voice behind them, exit the alcohol storage. Yukio grabs Beck Rin's chest and shakes him. It's enough now. Leave me and run away. If you're alone, you can surely escape, right? But Beck Rin burns with ghost fire in his eyes and speaks firmly. No. Why not? Didn't you become a ghostly creature because you didn't want to die? Jean Mayol is an integration stage grand cultivator. If you get him excited, he'll pounce on you in heat even if you're a ghostly creature. But Beck Rin shakes his head with a resolute face. The cult leader commanded me to take care of you. So, I won't run away leaving you behind. What crazy talk. If you die, it's over. Let me go? I'm telling you to abandon me. Yukio tries to push Beck Rin away and escape from his embrace, but Beck Rin holds her tighter and says, a long time ago, I once left my friends behind and ran away. Beck Rin recalls the events in the Nether Ghost realm. The betrayal of Wei Shirhan and the capture of Eum Hua by the Wuji religious order. Now, he himself is devotedly loyal and inspired by the magnificent Wuji religious order, but at that time, it felt like the sky was falling. And I had to pay a price for that. The event that shattered Beck Rin's heart happened afterward. I liked Eum Hua first. But Beck Rin ran away, leaving Eum Hua behind. Because of that, Eum Hua married Wei Shirhan. Thus, Beck Rin had to lose the one he loved to his best friend. That was the price of running away. I will never run away again. Beck Rin, hugging Yukio, exits the alcohol storage and runs towards the food storage. The food storage is actually smaller than the alcohol storage, about the size of a small village at most. However, it's filled with the carcasses of giant demon beasts and all sorts of food, and Beck Rin hides behind the massive bones of a demon beast that's against the wall with Yukio. When Beck Rin forms a hand seal, the bones of the demon beast moves and cleverly conceals them. Do not worry. My white bone shedding shell strategy has even evaded the pursuit of the 6 Extremes Ghost King of our order, who prides himself on his lightning speed. He won't find us easily. He speaks while panting, and Yukio, after looking at Beck Rin for a moment, smiles. Would you like to know a secret of our clan? Suddenly, our clan, in the distant past, had an ancestor from the sea dragon race. That's why we have some sea dragon blood within us. Although we are a hybrid of carp and sea dragon. Anyway, my father, being from the carp lineage, succeeded in dragon transformation and became a part of the dragon race. What does that have to do with the current situation? It's important. The black dragon race has the authority to govern all aspects of heaven and earth, and as a branch of the black dragon race, the sea dragon race has the authority to govern all seas of heaven and earth. She continues her explanation. The sea dragon race is far inferior to the black dragon race in handling energy, but they are actually more specialized in controlling the sea. And the sea that the sea dragon race can handle is not limited to just salt water. Yukio's eyes sparkle. The sea of the ancient force realm can also be controlled to some extent. No, to be precise, the sea dragon race is the only race that can rise to the surface from the sea of the ancient force realm without an ancient stone. They can find the paths of the sea. She begins to undo her top, exposing her chest. Yukio points to the vicinity of her heart. Take my heart. The sea dragon true blood I contain is very inferior and insignificant, so my father treated me like trash. Though that's why I was able to survive. Last time, I awakened a bit more of the sea dragon true blood thanks to the energy from Cersei Ran. After taking my heart, the source of my sea dragon energy pierced through the ship and swim through the sea of the ancient force realm to the sea surface. Beck Rin looks at Yukio's face for a moment before speaking. Why would you go to such lengths for me? Yukio's body and voice trembles as she speaks. I kept deceiving and trying to escape, but the only one who treated me consistently is you. At those words, Beck Rin is silent for a moment and then arranges Yukio's clothes. I don't need it. At that moment, Quong. The door to the food storage shatters, and Jean Mayol walks in with a sinister smile. I've caught all the runaway clones. I know you're in there. Come out. Beck Rin flinches. He can tell. Jean Mayol's consciousness is pinpointing exactly where Beck Rin and Yukio are hiding. Beck Rin steps forward with Yukio in front of Jean Mayol. How did you find all those clones so quickly? Jean Mayol chuckles. I'm a hunter. I excel at tracking, hiding, and hunting. The same goes for the crew members of my pirate gang who learned these skills. In fact, I already knew your location. He points to Yukio's chest. Has it been just once or twice that deceitful thing tried to escape? I placed a tracking spell on that carp's heart. As long as she doesn't have the courage to rip out her own heart, you are always in my grasp. Yukio shrinks at his words. Becrin glances at Yukio briefly. Jean Mayol, seeing Yukio's demeanor, exclaims as if realizing something. I think I know what scam that scammer tried to pull on you. Did she perhaps tell you something like, if you take my heart, you can escape, or something of the sort? Becrin remains silent, and Yukio shrinks even more. Jean Mayol laughs out loud as he reads Yukio's intent. So it's true. Last time, I cast a similar spell on her leg, and she escaped by giving her lower body to one of my subordinates. Since she reached the nascent soul stage, losing a major part like that wouldn't kill her, so it isn't even an issue. Haha, how do you feel? Do you still intend to protect that thing? I'll give you one last chance. Hand over Yukio and get lost. You seem to have exhausted your energy anyway, so I can't even get excited. I'll let you escape. Yukio bites her lip hard. However, Becrin does not move. Rather, he only lights up the circuits implanted by Kim Yun, igniting his fighting spirit. What's this? Didn't I tell you she deceived you? However, Becrin only ignites his ghost fire. It doesn't matter. I was never interested, nor did I plan to run away. Oh, you're brimming with momentum. Becrin stands his ground, blocking the path to Yukio, while Yukio looks at him with a complicated expression. Good. I like people like that too. Come then. Serve me more. Jean Mayol, excited by Becrin's refusal to back down, begins to approach them with an excited expression. And then, it happens. Kagugugu. The ship suddenly shakes violently, and the heaven and earth's spiritual energy changes. Reading the change in the spiritual energy, Yukio's eyes brighten, while Jean Mayol frowns. Damn it. Sir Becrin, the Saltbone's ship has surfaced. As soon as Yukio's words are heard, Becrin scatters a spell towards the wall, instantly creating a hole. What appears is not the dark, gloomy dimension of the deep sea, but a clear seascape. Pat it. Becrin quickly grabs Yukio and escapes using the flying escape technique. Jean Mayol, with an enraged expression, chases after the two demon spirits and extends his hand. Kagugugu. Attraction force of an integration stage grand cultivator emits from his hand, pulling Becrin and Yukio towards him. Having exhausted his strength, Becrin begins to be dragged towards Jean Mayol. He grits his teeth. Damn, is this how it ends? Yukio's betrayal doesn't affect him at all. Though it's fine now, he had been betrayed by a closer friend before, and he had his first love taken by that friend as well. Becrin exhales as he feels the ghost fire in his eyes dimming. Still, the Conqueror King and the mysterious bizarre Ghost King, those two should be able to escape. With this, my duty is done. And then, Kuang. A beam of light from somewhere explodes on Jean Mayol's arm. Becrin, with his mouth agape in disbelief, looks towards the direction where the beam came from. Your Highness, why did you not flee? It's Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua. Pat it. The two puppeteers, riding on a puppet with each of their heads emerging from the puppet's head, swiftly rush forward and snatch Becrin and Yukio, who are being dragged by Jean Mayol. Don't worry, as good news is on the way. Kim Yun says with a bright smile as she flies away quickly, and Bu Qianghua reassuringly smiles in agreement. Behind them, the furious integration stage grand cultivator, Jean Mayol, begins to pursue them. Chweraruk. He swings his chain sickle once, and the puppet is sliced in half. But as Bu Qianghua manipulates something, the four people inside the puppet are immediately ejected forward. Bu Qianghua shouts as she signals to the puppet. General Book, self-destruct. Quong. The puppet they ejected from self-destructs, creating a cloud of smoke. But Jean Mayol pushes through the mist and catches up right behind them, swinging his chain sickle. Kim Yun gathers the heaven and earth spiritual energy, and Becrin emits repulsive force. However, Jean Mayol's chain sickle ignores all their defenses and splits Kim Yun's right arm, Bu Qianghua's upper body, and Becrin's skull in half. Kughook. Bu Qianghua vomits blood, and Kim Yun quickly regenerates her arm, shrinking her consciousness domain. The consciousness domain, gathered in the form of a fingernail on Kim Yun's left arm, momentarily appears to be tinged with a pink hue before launching as a massive slash towards Jean Mayol. Quong. It's the martial art Kim Yun occasionally used to shatter the Wuji religious order's training formations, emitting immense power. Jean Mayol looks to ignore it and charge forward, but his expression changes drastically for a moment, and he unfolds his domain to defend against Kim Yun's strike. Taking advantage of that gap, Kim Yun swiftly uses the flying escape technique while holding the others. Sir Becrin, are you alright? Yes, I am a ghostly creature, so it doesn't matter. Bu Qianghua, are you okay? But Bu Qianghua does not answer. Kim Yun can immediately identify the cause. Her nascent soul is injured. Bu Qianghua, wake up, get a grip. Kim Yun's voice trembles. She quickly uses consciousness threads to seal the wound and support the nascent soul from dispersing, but Buk Hyangwa, her breath faint, only looks up at Kim Yun with blurry eyes. Buk Hyangwa, Hyangwa, wake up. I won't call you Owa anymore. So don't die. Please. Kwong. Jean Mayul, who has shaken off Kim Yun's slash, is chasing after them from behind. I didn't realize it before, but the mysterious bizarre Ghost King is quite the impressive fighter as well. Licking his lips, he follows Kim Yun with a chain sickle and a grotesque sword in both hands. In an instant, Jean Mayul catches up with Kim Yun and raises his grotesque sword. Now, take this as well. The next moment, Jean Mayul is split in half. Kwong. As Kim Yun looks back, preparing for another strike, she collides with something massive while flying. Tears well up in Kim Yun's eyes. Yoon Hyun, Buk Hyangwa is, right now. Got it. The Ghost King with 19 heads gestures to the giant centipede behind him. The giant centipede quickly brings a floating magic artifact, lays down Baek Rin, Kim Yun, and Buk Hyangwa, and begins treating them. I look with a cold gaze at Jean Mayul, whose split body is reattaching in front of me. He licks his lips with an excited expression. Zirurururu. His vibrating horns are for some reason quite unpleasant. It's the best. Wuji cult leader, will you entertain me as well? Let's compete. It's a pity you have the form of a ghostly creature, but with a strong opponent like you, it doesn't matter. Let us intertwine our bodies together and dance. This excitement I couldn't feel even with that 6 Extremes Ghost King. Hurry, come at me. I stare at him briefly before gathering both hands with curses and blessings. Great Mountain. What? W8. Damn it, you coward. Don't do that. Let's clash body to body while we fight. Splitting Emperor. A pure white light envelopes heaven and earth. Chapter 377, with everyone one. TSTSTSTSTSTSTS. As the power of the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique fades, the nearby sea domain comes back into view. It's a direct hit. The one called Jean Mayul is obliterated into nothingness. However, I can't shake off the lingering sense of discomfort. That guy, he escaped. Though his physical body is destroyed, I felt him flying away through the plane of soul to resurrect somewhere else. In hindsight, it's always been like this. The day I first arrived in the ancient force realm. That day, after battling Kim Young-hoon, I used the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, and all the cultivators at the 4-axis and integration stage within its range were annihilated. Even Jean Mayul, who was within the range. However, that guy resurrected again. Although he doesn't seem like he would resurrect 7 times like Yuan Li, he is quite the troublesome opponent. Kagugugu. In the distance, I see the Saltbones ship, from which Kim Yun and Buk Hyangwa had escaped, submerging back into the depths of the sea of the ancient force realm. Zurururu. A strange sound is coming from the keel of the distant Saltbones ship. Perhaps it's because the Saltbones ship has its entire keel made from the rare and precious salt crystals, which is causing it to react to the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Boom. I launch a slash towards the submerging Saltbones ship, and before it's completely submerged, its bow is cleanly sliced off. Salt crystals, Salt crystals are also related to the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Well, I expected it since the character Salt was used. The reason salt crystal is called what it is not only because of its pure white appearance, but also because it tastes salty when licked. In essence, salt crystal is a mineral very similar to salt. Is it a battleship that can freely dive into the depths of the deep sea of the ancient force realm through the use of salt crystals? No wonder the Fighting Demon Pirate Gang is such a notorious group. After briefly watching the spot where the Fighting Demon Pirate Gang disappears, I turn my gaze to Kim Yun and Buk Hyangwa. How are their conditions? Hong Fan, now in human form, is stroking his beard with a gentle expression. Fortunately, they've overcome the critical juncture. Especially since the Conqueror King's nascent soul was held together by the consciousness of the mysterious bizarre Ghost King. Even though her nascent soul was injured, there's no major issue. I approach Buk Hyangwa and Kim Yun. Kim Yun, as expected, seems quite exhausted. As the tension eased, she fell asleep while holding Buk Hyangwa tightly, tears streaming down his face. Lady Kim Yun won't let go of the Conqueror King. Hong Fan laughs heartily, pointing at the two of them. I return to human form, smiling at the sight of the two. Let's go back. Thus, the incident involving the kidnapping of the followers by the pirate gang comes to an end. I wish it could have really ended there. After sending the remaining followers to the Wuji religious order in the Black Domain, I look up at the sky with a cold gaze. I can read the celestial energy. Yes, the ancient force realm is a world where there is no sky, making it impossible to read celestial energy. But for some reason, I can now see the celestial energy. Celestial energy is actually the flow of attraction force emitted by stars. And, I can feel the flow of attraction force from the sky directed towards me. Is it a calamity? Jaya. It isn't normal celestial energy. Normal celestial energy should allow one to read the future. However, this celestial energy only allows me to feel a single pull of attraction. It's the celestial energy of misfortune. And it's very strange and suspicious that suddenly, in a world where celestial energy can't be seen, I can see just this one. Having navigated through numerous misfortunes and disasters, I can tell someone has bestowed this. This celestial energy is clearly artificial. Upon reaching the 4-axis stage, one can see a wider variety of celestial energy in different types, natures, and ranges. And definitely, among the celestial energy I saw in the night of the Nether Ghost realm, there was no such misfortune. In short, I can only conclude that this misfortune was bestowed upon me after I came to the Ancient Force realm. Thinking back, it was indeed strange. How the first guide we caught in the Ancient Force realm is a scammer. The palace lord I sought for an alliance only desires to stab us in the back. And after sending my consciousness to the lower realms to build the health axis, the main body got split in two and confronted a true person. Even when I returned, my comrades had been kidnapped, and upon rescuing them, they were on the verge of death. Though I've faced such misfortune in life more than a few times, the frequency this time is too high. It's clearly bad luck. I glare at the sky. I still have no clue who has bestowed this misfortune upon me. However, if someone can impose such a fate, it's certainly not a being of insignificant power, and I can't help but think they do not harbor goodwill towards me. Of course, there's the possibility it's a being that can only bestow misfortune. This is driving me crazy. This world is really... I sigh. But there's nothing I can do right now. Even misfortune can't last forever. I'll wait until the misfortune passes. After glaring at the sky one last time, I return to the Black Sea domain. Perhaps because of all that happened, or the shocking truth I have discovered, my shoulders feel inexplicably stiff. Upon returning to the Black Sea domain, I received a report from Beck Rin, who recovered the fastest among the four. Thus, we were able to escape from the Saltbones ship and be rescued by the cult leader and company. Thank you for the detailed explanation. After receiving the report, I ponder one thing Beck Rin mentioned that caught my attention. Yuk Yo is a descendant of the sea dragon race. Although Beck Rin suggests it's likely a lie, I believe that part to be true. When considering the reports from Buk Hyangwa, Kim Yun, and Kim Young-hoon, who faced Yuk Yo's dragon form, they noted it was quite similar to the sea dragon race except for the color. Moreover, when I asked Seo Ran why he slept with Yuk Yo, he mentioned there was a faint sense of familiarity despite the influence of the aphrodisiac. Putting it all together, while it's true that Yuk Yo deceived Beck Rin, the part about being of sea dragon lineage is likely true. Coon. After briefly expanding the space underground in the Wuji religious hall, I take out the statue of the sea dragon race that I have brought from the deep sea. It appeared dark in the deep sea, but when taken out in the dark basement, it shines quite brightly. Well, it's made of ancient stone after all. I spent some time investigating the sea dragon statue by infusing it with spiritual energy and consciousness. Even when I infused it with the energy of an immortal beast, the statue of the sea dragon showed no reaction. It's purely a statue carved from ancient stone. After observing the statue for a while, I call Seo Ran and Song Jin. Not long after, they come down to the basement, and I show them the statue. This is the sea dragon statue I found when rescuing Buk Hyangwa and Kim Yun. Have you ever seen something similar before? Seo Ran stares at the statue intently for a moment before exclaiming, "Ah, I've seen it before." You have? Yes. While reading the history books of the sea dragon race in the Sea Dragon Palace, there was an illustration exactly like this. The sea dragon race, or rather most of the dragon races including the sea dragon race, are descendants of the entering nirvana true dragon whose remains are left in the bright cold realm. According to the history books, one of the true dragon's bloodlines mixed with the black dragon's bloodline, leading to the birth of the black dragon race. Some members of this race crossed into the ancient force realm and mutated into the sea dragon race, marking the beginning. After that, the sea dragon race born in the ancient force realm descended and spread its lineage in numerous lower realms for some reason. I think I understand the meaning of lofty dragon, ancient force, beneath myriad realms. It means that the seed of the sea dragon, born from lofty dragon true person, blossomed in the ancient force realm and scattered into the countless lower realms. However, there is something strange. But why is there Bloodine before lofty dragon? No matter how much I think about it, Bloodine doesn't seem to have any relation to the dragon race. At that moment, Seo Ran speaks with an excited expression. This is truly a historical treasure of immense value to the sea dragon race. To think I'd see a treasure mentioned in the history books in real life. What is it that makes you so excited? This is the Jade Seal, Imperial Seal, of the first Sea Dragon King, Ja Eum, purpleine. Even the jade seals currently scattered throughout the world. In other words, even the one grandfather Xiao Huiol holds as a symbol of the Sea Dragon King's authority in the head realm are just replicas of this purple soul jade seal. Hey, how incredible! With an incredibly excited expression, Xiao Ran clings to the sea dragon statue called Purple Soul Jade Seal, as if he would lick it. Watching him, I suddenly have a question and ask. So, the first Sea Dragon King doesn't have the Roy Xiao, lit. Auspicious surname? Ah yes, the first Sea Dragon King used the surname Jia, Du Purple. However, since all of his descendants, the Sea Dragon race, carry his blood, it doesn't matter much. The royal authority of the Sea Dragon race is determined by whether or not they inherit the Sea Authority Jade Seal, the imitation of the Purple Soul Jade Seal. I'm startled by those words and look alternately at Xiao Ran and the Purple Soul Jade Seal. Then, since you have obtained the first Sea Dragon King's Jade Seal. Ah, that's not the case. Xiao Ran shakes his head with a bitter smile. Regrettably, the only way to be recognized as the owner of the Jade Seal and gain kingship is to inherit it directly from the previous owner. Only the person recognized by the Jade Seal can know the secret history and purpose of the Sea Dragon race hidden within the seal. As I wasn't recognized by the previous owner, the Purple Soul Jade Seal is just a treasure of historical value for me. Is that so? That's regrettable. Song Jin and I sigh almost simultaneously. If Xiao Ran became the Sea Dragon King, it might have influenced the Sea Dragon race that is currently being consumed by Xiao Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens. Perhaps, we might have also understood why Xiao Huiol continues to take on the form of a sea dragon. May I study it a bit more? Do as you wish. And regarding Yukio, I convey the information I received from Beck Rin to Xiao Ran. You mean Yukio might also be a descendant of the sea dragon race? That's right. So when Yukio wakes up, ask her whatever you need to. Understood. Wait, Xiao Ran. At that moment, Song Jin asks Xiao Ran with a puzzled expression. Isn't that carp called Yukio a scammer? Didn't the cult leader say Beck Rin told him that the carp scammed until the end? Can you really get a proper answer from that fish? Ah, it's fine. I can interrogate her with Shurho. Because that carp is afraid of Shurho. There's that too, and... Song Jin looks a bit surprised at Xiao Ran's next words. Shurho is also a martial artist of 5 energies converging to the origin. By looking at intent, she can discern lies, so there will be no lies. That fox. Since when? I burst into laughter at Song Jin's reaction. What? Xiao Ran knew, but you didn't. I apologize for not knowing. Shurho, interestingly enough, got hit by Kim Young-hoon so many times that she somehow learned martial arts and reached 5 energies converging to the origin. Since the demon race and 5 energies converging to the origin go well together, Shurho's combat power must have significantly increased. Well, in any case, as long as that fox can distinguish between truth and lies, it should be fine. Let's go. Yes, master. Then, cult leader, we will take our leave. Go ahead. Xiao Ran and Song Jin leave with the sea dragon statue, the Purple Soul Jade Seal. I restore the space to its original state and fall into thought. The term that's written at the end, Black Yin Strategy. It's undoubtedly the name of the Black Dragon King, Hyan Eum, Hyan Eum, Jai Eum, and Blood Een, Hyol Eum. Anyone who isn't a fool will find it worth considering what kind of connection there might be between the three. Various miscellaneous thoughts cross my mind, but they are all just delusions without any solid basis. What is the relationship between Blood Een, Hyan Eum, and Jai Eum? What exactly is Xiao Huiol up to? I fall into complex thoughts and then shake my head to clear my mind. Enough. There's nothing I can do right now. This world is one where insidious and treacherous traps and calamities lay hidden. However, one of the few advantages of this world is that one can continue to become stronger. Let's elevate my realm. Continue to build the health axis and grow. I recall the words of the Mad Lord. He said only a stronger power can overcome fate. Gaining greater power and status will be advantageous in uncovering Xiao Huiol's secrets. I swing my arm to create a seated detachment, standing Oblivion avatar, while my main body lies down on the cult leader's seat, extending my consciousness into the flying, immortal formation. The urgent matter is to build the health axis as soon as possible. I leave my main body to build the health axis while the seated detachment, standing Oblivion avatar heads to the Wuji Religious Order's Poison Research Hall. Most followers of the Wuji Religious Order are ghostly creatures, so there's little need for a medical hall. Thus, no such place exists. Therefore, the place where Bu Qianghua and others are receiving treatment is the Poison Research Hall, where Hong Fan studies poisons. Since poison can be used as medicine with the right ratio adjustments, this is possible. When I enter the room where Bu Qianghua is resting, I find Kim Yun dozing off while nursing her. They've gotten quite close. When they first met, they growled at each other like they were ready to tear each other apart. But now, even while sleeping, they hold hands. I fetch a blanket nearby and cover the sleeping Kim Yun with it, then check Book Hyangwa's condition. Fortunately, thanks to the medicine Hong Fan administered, her nascent soul has significantly improved. After infusing a bit of vital energy into both of them, I quietly leave the room. As I exit, Kim Young-hoon is waiting for me with his arms crossed. What brings you here? I have something to tell you. Perfect timing. I have something to ask you too. What is it? I asked Kim Young-hoon the question I received from Jang-ik. If you had to cut something that is impossible to cut, what would you do? Something impossible to cut, like what? For example, something like a planet. After thinking for a moment, Kim Young-hoon replies, I can't cut a planet, but I can cut something similar. Pardon? He grins widely and says, well, I'll explain that a bit later. But more importantly, what do you think? After seeing that pirate, don't you have a better grasp of what martial arts is? Chapter 378, with everyone too. Hearing Kim Young-hoon's words, I picture the figure that regenerated their body even after my attack, furiously charging at me in an intense state of arousal. He seems to possess extremely favorable conditions for martial arts training. Every time they swing their weapon, every time they are hit, and every time they fight their opponent. A race that doesn't just get excited, but becomes aroused during combat? Whether it's martial arts or the Earth Tribe's methods, this race has immense advantages in learning anything related to fighting. No wonder they are paired with the human race, who love to eat and exploit other races, as one of the two evils. Honestly, their sticky intent is somewhat unpleasant. But aside from that, they seem to be the race with the best conditions for becoming a warrior, dosher. Seeing my reaction, Kim Young-hoon smirks. Do you now understand why I said he's not a martial artist, Warren? I ponder for a moment before shaking my head. I'm sorry. To be honest, I really don't understand. Why isn't he a martial artist? I genuinely don't know. I decide to be honest rather than pretend to understand. Kim Young-hoon gathers energy from the air to create a chi weapon, Chi Bang. A golden saber made of energy appears in his hand. What does it look like I'm holding? A blade. I respond immediately, seeing the intent imbued in his saber. Correct. A martial artist is someone who wields weapons. Kim Young-hoon and I continue our conversation as we walk outside the hall. Boom. Reaching the edge of the Twilight Domain, Kim Young-hoon swings the saber in his hand at me. What did I just use on you? A martial technique. Correct. We are people who practice martial techniques. He swings the saber again. This time, he swings it with a genuine goal to cut me, so I draw my All-Heaven sword and counter his swing. Hot. Though both of us imbue immense power in our weapons, capable of splitting the sea, we control our strength perfectly and cause no significant shockwaves. What collided between us? Meaning, eek. Correct. Martial artists are those who wield weapons to create martial techniques, and with those moves, clash meaning. Wawoom. His eyes glow with a golden light. Ultimately, it's all about meaning, and that meaning is our soul, on. Since we imbue various meanings and display our artistry, through those meanings, even if we wield weapons and fight, we do not become lost in the fight itself. But do you remember what that fighting ghost race held in his hands? I recall Jean Mayol, who tried to charge at me with lustful eyes. What he held wasn't just a simple chain sickle and sword. Desire, Yuan. He was enveloped in sticky lust, Yurqing, and completely lost in it. I see. I finally understand what Kim Young-hoon is trying to convey. Are you trying to convey that martial arts, is about what you imbue into your weapon? Something like that. It reminds me of an incident from before. Come down. Tulum. After saying so, Kim Young-hoon descends downward. It's the deep sea of the ancient force realm. Tulum. He still manages to step on the dimension above the deep sea like before. You are definitely strong. However, if what I sensed back then was not mistaken, your martial arts, are incomplete. Well, since I do mix heaven and earth tribe methods and puppet techniques, you could say that. That's not what I'm talking about. He shakes his head. I just said it. Martial arts, is about what you imbue in your weapon. Yes, you did. But how many weapons do you have? Splish splash. The surface of the dimension ripples as the deep sea beneath Kim Young-hoon's feet quivers. Last time, I pondered why you couldn't step on the surface of this dimension. At our level, this shouldn't be so difficult, yet you struggled. So I pondered and soon found the answer. He smiles. Martial arts is about contemplating what to imbue in your weapon. However, you have too many weapons. Moreover, you are not imbuing meaning to all of your weapons. Hence, your martial arts is incomplete, and because your martial arts is not complete, your martial realm is unstable, preventing you from stepping on the dimension's surface. Pat it. The golden saber he holds seems to shine brilliantly. You asked how to cut stars, right? While I can't cut real stars, I can cut something similar. Chwakik. As he swings the saber, The sea appears to ripple and split, revealing countless fragments of worlds beneath the dimensional sea. Among them are fragments of worlds glimmering with starlight. Kim Young-hoon swings his saber towards one of those fragments. He spins once in the air. His saber traces a circle. The next moment, the starlight is cleaved. Following the trajectory of the circle he drew, the light in this sea domain splits. Rip. Split sky Fontan. An illusion of the sky splitting in two appears throughout the entire sea domain. Kim Young-hoon wipes his sweat and laughs heartily. I know you have many weapons, and you properly imbue meaning into at least 3 or 4 of them, but you don't imbue meaning into the other miscellaneous ones. So, either discard all the miscellaneous ones, or if you don't want to discard them, make all of them truly yours. If you do that, I feel like I am catching a clue on how to solve Jang-ik's task through Kim Young-hoon. You'll be able to sufficiently cut starlight. Chua. The split sky returns to normal. A divine skill, Senji, where he didn't cut the space itself, but merely the light within it. I bow my head to Kim Young-hoon in gratitude. Thank you for your guidance. I have found the path I need to take. As expected, after bowing to Kim Young-hoon, I draw the padao in my heart essence. The greenish padao is held in my hands. I have the confidence to shatter an entire sea domain with the single swing of this padao. No, not merely a sea domain. As Jang-ik said, I could even split a star. However, I don't use the padao for such things. Instead, I swing the padao towards Kim Young-hoon's heart essence. Kwon. Jang-ik's padao plunges into Kim Young-hoon's heart essence. It seems to embed itself into the head of the Peng bird, and then disappears into the Peng's body. He blinks and asks, "What's this? It doesn't seem to be your heart essence. Try infusing your heart essence into the padao and communicate with it. You'll meet an interesting person. Jang-ik's disciple should be Kim Young-hoon. Thank you for the advice. I'll be on my way now." After delivering Jang-ik's single strike to Kim Young-hoon and giving him a clue to communicate with Jang-ik, I return. It's a brief moment, but what I gained from Kim Young-hoon is immense. Yes, he's right. I have learned too much in my current state. Then, can I assign meaning to all those things and use them properly? No. I thought I had unified heaven and earth tribe methods and martial arts while creating the sword formation with Hong Surayong. But in hindsight, it wasn't unification, it was merely creating another weapon. I wield the all-heavens sword and start performing the severing mountain swordsmanship from beginning to end in a simplified manner. From the first move, transcending peaks, to the 30th move, deep mountain, emerging Tao. It's time to create the 31st move. I head to the Wuji Religious Hall's training grounds and begin organizing everything I have learned so far. Starting from 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, to the methods of the Chongmun clan, 1,000 lustrous forest sea, Mad Lord circuits, mysterious bizarre goo, silica earth great wall practice, Een soul ghost incantation, white orchid blessing incantation, azure spirit starlight quintessence great method, extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique, and lightning path methods, canvas of myriad forms and connections, 6 extremes, Een thunder body, and great desert to Dead Sea. I've learned quite a lot. I even created many things myself. Including the Black Blade maturing secrets I made recently, there are quite a few things I created and used personally. I recall countless method formulas and reflect on Kim Young-hoon's words. I have many weapons, but I don't imbue meaning into all of them. Then what should I do? How can I imbue meaning into my weapons? There's only one way. I unfold the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. And in accordance with the moves of Severing Mountain swordsmanship, I begin to compare the method formula of numerous cultivation methods. I will meld all my methods into one, and I will unify cultivation methods and martial arts techniques. It isn't just about melding heaven, earth, and heart as in the latter part of Severing Mountain swordsmanship. It will be a process of integrating everything I have learned so far into one. Let's begin. To cut down a star, and to move forward. No matter how many years it takes, even if I have to undergo hellish training, I must achieve it. And with that, 10 years pass. It's not easy. I have successfully integrated Een soul ghost incantation, white orchid blessing incantation, black blood tears flower, 6 extremes Een thunder body, and great desert to Dead Sea into my sword. But swordsmanship consists of martial techniques. Even if such cultivation methods are all incorporated into a single movement, a sequence of movements coming together forms a martial technique. And in the linkage and connection of all those martial techniques, I must incorporate the cultivation methods into each and every one of the changes that are created. It's so far away. Honestly, I started this recklessly and I have no idea when it will end. But I continue with the process. 20 years have passed. The misfortune I felt last time is neither just my intuition nor a delusion. I still feel it from the heavens above. Even though I consulted with others like Yun Wei and Song Jin, it seems they can't see the celestial energy that I can see. Yun Wei insisted that I must be possessed by an evil spirit, and tried to perform an exorcism ritual on me by burning me at the stake. So I had to hang her upside down to bring her to her senses. However, this isn't just my misunderstanding. Misfortunes are coming and persisting without end. There are frequent attacks from other sea domains, often resulting in kidnappings of followers. We always manage to rescue them, and those who are kidnapped once are careful enough to avoid such incidents again, but it still leaves me feeling uneasy. Recently, a nascent soul-stage demon beast and half-human, half-fish hybrid, named Wai Yun, has been committing arson and attacking followers across various branches of the Wuji religious order. Though I want to capture and interrogate her, every time I try, she would hide somewhere, making it extremely frustrating. As I perform my duties as the Wuji cult leader, I continue to build the health axis and focus on melding my cultivation methods and martial arts into one. 30 years pass. Quaduk. During training, a heart demon appeared. I succeeded in melding all my cultivation methods into a single martial technique. But the problem is after that, I have to integrate and apply all these cultivation methods into the countless changes of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. It's so far away. My talent is so severely lacking. Waduk. Chi deviation and heart demons come to find me, and I am in the process of devouring the heart demon before me. I can do it. I can. With my eyes rolled back, I gulp down the heart demon while shouting, I must do it. I have long grown tired of sitting down and crying about my lack of talent and despair. I am nearly 4,000 years old now. At this age, I can't just sit down and cry like a child using talent as an excuse. I will do it. No, I must do it. Talent is just an excuse. If I lack talent, I will just grind my body down and challenge it until I succeed. It's something I've experienced multiple times before. So, I will do it. Without sitting down, I stand up, wield my sword, and continue melting my cultivation methods. 40 years have passed. It seems that once I immerse myself in training, my characteristic is to fall into madness. At some point, I started accelerating my mind and training as I did a long time ago. When I finally come to my senses, I can't tell how much time has passed. What's clear is that while melding all my cultivation methods into the Severing Mountain swordsmanship, I felt like I didn't have enough time. How many times have I repeated this insanity? I am confident that I have melded all my cultivation methods into the initial moves of Severing Mountain swordsmanship, from the 1st to 12th. Now, only the middle and late sections remain. Let's go. I continue integrating cultivation methods while hunting deep-sea monsters. 50 years pass. How many times have I gone mad while fighting deep-sea monsters and building the health axis? Finally, I succeeded in integrating all my cultivation methods into all 30 moves of Severing Mountain swordsmanship. Now, the only task left is to meld my cultivation methods into the hundreds of thousands of changes and connections of Severing Mountain swordsmanship. Quaduk. I tear off the face of a heart demon that is lingering and bothering me, and at the same time smash in the head of a deep-sea monster to extract an ancient stone. Surprisingly, this deep-sea monster must have been quite strong as there is a huge ancient stone embedded in its head, and at the center of the stone is a rare supervisory jade. Humming, I extract the supervisory jade and see my face reflected on it. Why is it? I feel that my appearance resembles Jean Mayol, who charged at me like crazy. Then, does that mean I am not a martial artist? Is what I am doing not martial arts? I think of asking Kim Young-hoon if I am a martial artist or not, but then I remember that Kim Young-hoon hasn't been seen recently. He's probably in a secluded place communicating with Jang-ik. With his talent, how would Jang-ik react? What enlightenment would he gain from Jang-ik? Could he surpass the barrier, interceded detachment, standing oblivion, and show me hope for the next realm? While thinking such thoughts, I feel pathetic about myself. It's disdain for myself, thinking that Kim Young-hoon would go to the next realm first and then tell me about it. And with that disdain, I realize that I am still a martial artist. The very desire for the next realm, the very yearning for a higher level of martial arts, makes me realize I am different from Jean Mayol. The fighting steps of the fighting ghost race are filled with nothing but lust, but my martial arts are filled with a longing for a higher place. Though small, I take solace in that fact and continue to train in martial arts. 60 years have passed. Ga-ah-wah. Finally, I have melded all my cultivation methods into every martial technique. According to the followers, it's been about 70 years in real time. But with my accelerated mind, it feels like hundreds of years have passed. However, I am not pleased. Just why is this happening? Why? I wield my sword. With every martial technique of my sword, countless methods follow. This sword is a curse, a blessing, the grace of my master, the fruit of my efforts, the heart of Seo Li, the will of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, the research of the Black Ghost Valley, and the tenacity of the Azure Heaven Creation sect. And the canvas of myriad forms and connections permeates into the martial techniques. TSDSDSDSDSDSDSDS. Gah! A hazy mist seeps into the martial techniques, and I scream as I try to perform the moves. But it's wrong. It twists. It distorts. It begins to break. The martial techniques disintegrate and rampage uncontrollably. Qualong. Eventually, the martial techniques fail to follow my will and twist out of control, exploding at some point. I succeeded in melding everything into the techniques. But as soon as the canvas of myriad forms and connections is imbued, the martial techniques go berserk. And as I forcibly perform a sword dance and execute the techniques, I experience something for the first time in my life. Quang. The All-Heavens sword. It slips from my hand. I have dropped my sword. I fail to comprehend what is happening, and my hands tremble violently. I dropped my sword? This is something that should never have happened. But it did. No, to be precise, it would be more accurate to say that the sword momentarily disappeared from my hand. The grip strength I have developed until now has reached an abnormal level, and in terms of grip strength, I am confident that I wouldn't lose to even those in the star-shattering stage. However, no matter how strong the grip, one cannot hold on to something that suddenly disappears. Shocked, I stopped training in martial arts for a while and focused solely on the affairs of the order. Just why did such a thing happen? 80 years have passed. Recently, I've often seen Bu Qianghua and Kim Yun hanging out together. It seems they have become sworn sisters, sleeping together and calling each other only by their surnames. Why are you so late, Book? I told you not to call me that, Kim. How dare you speak to your heaven-like Yuni like that? Kike, I told you not to pull my hair. Occasionally, they would quarrel over trivial matters, but then, as if nothing had happened, they would walk around holding hands. Watching them, I suddenly realize, the reason why my swordsmanship doesn't listen to me. I have thought of the canvas of myriad forms and connections as my method, but thinking back, it isn't. As Song Jin said, a connection is something made together with another person. As it's made together with others, it isn't solely my method. Since I was trying to mix something that isn't mine with my sword, it only makes sense that it wouldn't listen to me. Of course, I still don't understand why it exploded at the end. But I understand one thing. I need to communicate. From that day, I begin static cultivation, not dynamic cultivation. It's training to further feel the canvas of myriad forms and connections itself. And 90 years have passed. I look at the Naraigi I received from Bu Qianghua while comparing it with the colorless glass sword. She said that the Naraigi contains the strange stone spat out by Chongmun Ryong, serving as an enormous power source. Indeed, the Naraigi is emanating a tremendous amount of power. But it seems Bu Qianghua is mistaken about one thing. Being only in the mid-nascent soul stage, she might not have realized. But when I tried to insert my consciousness into the Naraigi, I felt nothing. In other words, there is no strange stone sealed inside. Moreover, the Naraigi is connected to somewhere, and the power source used by the Buqiang fleet is not merely the power of a strange stone, but a power source drawn from somewhere. At first, I experimented to see if the Naraigi is connected to the canvas of myriad forms and connections, but it doesn't seem to be the case. The Naraigi and the canvas of myriad forms and connections have no reaction to each other. I'll have to ask Kim Yun to try once to find where the Naraigi is connected to with her consciousness later on. It's impossible for me, but with Kim Yun's vast consciousness, she might succeed in finding the place connected to the Naraigi. In the end, even the Naraigi can't reveal the secrets of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. I stare at the colorless glass sword, the origin of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. If scattered into all 3,000 swords, they would be on the level of ordinary Dharma treasures, but if combined, they would become a 4-axis stage Dharma treasure. The colorless glass sword, which was the foundation of my most precious memories, would become a truly proper integration stage grand perfection level Dharma treasure when combined with the All-Heavens sword. The colorless glass sword, the foundation of my most cherished memories, would become a Dharma treasure of the grand perfection integration level when combined with the All-Heavens sword. The glass of the colorless glass sword, tempered by my Dan fire for thousands of years, has transformed into something that is no longer just glass, but something more akin to another mineral. I gaze at the colorless glass sword for a long time, but there is nothing special. Even now, I haven't conquered the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Even now, I haven't fully understood the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Heavens above, I wanted to cry out. But since the canvas of myriad forms and connections is not a result of the heavens, but a crystallization of the connections I have created, calling out to the heavens wouldn't change anything. I sigh, returning the Naraigi to Bu Qianghua, and once again return to static cultivation. Discussing connections with experienced or reliable individuals like Song Jin, Yun Wei, and Hong Fan. About 100 years have passed. Song Jin has died. Chapter 379, with everyone, 3. He had previously discussed his lifespan with me and had rejected both my procedure and the puppet's body, so it makes sense that he passed away now. He lived according to his natural lifespan, or perhaps even beyond it. Co Ran blows Song Jin's ashes onto the Nether Crossing ship. The Nether Crossing ship that Bu Qianghua restored becomes Song Jin's tomb and headstone. Song Jin's funeral is conducted grandly in its own way. Co Ran sits atop the Nether Crossing ship that Song Jin left behind and gazes at the sky. I sit beside him and ask, "Are you sad? Master said something to me before he passed away. What was it?" As he strokes the Nether Crossing ship, he speaks. "My mother, during her time living in the Head Realm, always feared death when she was young. She was so terrified of death that she often screamed out in fear, as if she were suffering from some kind of mental illness. But when she had me, she risked her life to give birth to me despite the potential danger to her own life." I listened to Co Ran's words in silence. Master said, "Those who have something precious are not afraid of death." He cherished me, and he said he had no regrets since he saw his disciple grow up. He wipes his tears as he looks up at the sky. He showed no signs of fear or sorrow when he passed. So, I too will not be sad. Tears are clearly streaming down his face. I can read his emotions. However, while I can read them, I cannot understand what they are. It's said that reaching 5 energies converging to the origin requires reading all emotions. But in truth, reading every emotion is impossible. One must simply acknowledge this fact to reach that realm. Thus, I cannot grasp Co Ran's emotions. Kim Young-hoon said that a martial artist is one who imbues meaning into their weapon. If so, is a master who entrusts everything to their disciple also a martial artist? After comforting Co Ran, I rise into the air to give him some time alone. As I look at Co Ran sitting on the Nether Crossing ship, I realize something. Co Ran has already come to resemble Song Jin more than Co Huiol. He had entrusted even his own image to his disciple. If a martial artist is one who imbues meaning into their weapon, then every master in this world is a supreme martial artist. The bond and ties that form between people when they entrust something to one another. Can't the relationships between people also be considered a form of martial arts? I ponder this question as I leave Co Ran and return to the religious hall, and I then realize that because of Song Jin's death, I am shedding tears. Oh, I'm not particularly sad. Song Jin was a good person, and while I owed him many favors, there were also many times I almost got scammed and nearly died because of him. I did learn some methods from him, but he never felt like a master to me like Chongmun Ryan did. I'm not sad. Yet, like Co Ran, I am shedding tears. And through those tears, I finally understand why my canvas of myriad forms and connections is rampaging. Imbuing meaning into a weapon is martial arts. And the exchange of meanings between people is a connection. And sometimes, when there are disruptions in those connections, emotions can become uncontrollable. Because for the deceased, you can't return anything. When you have received much from the deceased, those many things overflow as emotions. The same is true for my canvas of myriad forms and connections. I have received too much from those of my past lives. However, there are many things I can no longer return. I succeeded in imbuing meaning into my weapon. However, it was an overflow of meaning. Having received too many favors, my sword is running wild and exploding. I do not hold the frenzied sword but quietly mourn for Song Jin. Even if I hadn't received much from him, even if my connection with him wasn't deep, he was undoubtedly one of my connections. And so, several decades pass once more. Kugagugagu. A heavenly tribulation sweeps through the twilight domain. Quajajijik. Co Ran is breaking through to the next realm. After enduring some time under the heavenly tribulation, Co Ran finally showcases his cultivation at the mid-heavenly being stage. Congratulations, Co Ran. I smile as I look upon Co Ran, who is now perfectly transformed into a human form, with none of the characteristics of the demon race. Following my praise, others also shower Co Ran with congratulations. In the spiritual, energy-rich ancient force realm, Co Ran acquired a seed of madness after Song Jin's death. Eventually, Co Ran used that seed to rise very quickly to the mid-heavenly being stage. However, Co Ran doesn't seem particularly happy about his breakthrough. I'm not that great. The truly amazing one is Shurho. No sooner after Co Ran finishes speaking does an enormous heavenly tribulation strike from afar. Under the shadow of that heavenly tribulation, we see Shurho howling. Shurho, having recently consumed a tremendous spiritual fruit from the ancient force realm's deep sea, saw his cultivation soar and is now reaching the 4-axis stage. How long does thunder and lightning rage in the sky? When we fly to his location after some time, we see Shurho barely getting up, coughing blood. Hong Fan, standing nearby, says while smiling, "He almost died enduring the lightning tribulation, but Sir Shurho successfully reached the 4-axis stage." When Shurho sees us, he runs crying to Co Ran. "Yoa, Co Ran, I almost died." Co Ren looks like he is about to lose his mind, but whether he has given up or accepted it, he no longer exudes the disgusted intent he used to. I laugh heartily and congratulate the two who have safely overcome their heavenly tribulations. Both of you have successfully passed your heavenly tribulations. It's a great blessing for our Wuji religious order. Thank you. Thank you, cult leader. And, cult leader, may you also safely overcome the lightning tribulation. All right. I turn my head to look behind me. At the center of the Wuji religious order, on the roof of the Wuji religious hall, there, my true body is preparing to face the heavenly tribulation. Now then, shall I take on the heavenly tribulation? After about 120 years, I have finally completed the health axis. Unlike before, I built it very quickly by receiving lifespans in 100 and 200-year increments from the lower realm beings instead of the previous 10 years. Now then, I shall complete my axis. Pat it. I reabsorb my seated detachment, standing Oblivion avatar back into my main body. Wawoom. I draw the dragon vein of Black Island through the twilight domain. An overwhelming strength surges around me. After surrounding myself with 12 flames created from the ancient force realm's energy, I close my eyes. I offer a ritual to the ancient force realm. O great realm of ancient force. I tear apart 10,000 years of my lifespan. Kuguguguk. And I convert that 10,000 years of lifespan entirely into the health axis. Pat it. Then, I return the lifespan accumulated over the past 120 years back through the ancient force realm. Wawoom. With the health axis properly built, I feel the emptiness, comb, of the 6 extremes as the shadows beneath my feet ripple and dance. With this, they are longevity, wealth, and health. I have built 3 axes, and my sense of the 6 extremes has become clearer than ever before. Previously, the 6 extremes had been mere shadows at my feet, but now they have risen around me, circling like eerie ghosts. What used to be the 6 extremes thunder body that spewed black lightning now no longer emits lightning. They merely hover around me ominously, as if hungry and starving. However, I pay them no mind and embrace the axes of longevity, wealth, and health into my bosom. Thus, I enter the late 4-axis stage. Kurung, Kururum. Blue and gold lightning stir in the sky. Though there is no sky, that bothersome heavenly tribulation still occurs even in the ancient force realm. A terrifyingly powerful heavenly tribulation descends upon me. But when I move my hand, the black clouds releasing the heavenly tribulation tears apart with a massive hole, and the tribulation disperses. The countless ghostly creatures of the Wuji religious order witnesses this and cry out in jubilation. Kaiwea, Gia, a heavenly tribulation at the 4-axis stage is no longer that frightening. Honestly, heavenly tribulations have long become akin to celebratory fireworks marking my advancement in cultivation. However, from the integration stage, heavenly tribulations become somewhat more challenging to deal with. And starting from the star-shattering stage, the severity of heavenly tribulations escalates to a level where it practically commands you to perish. Thus, the fear of heavenly tribulation should never be fully discarded. Weeing. I close my eyes and float the 3 axes around me. The 6 extremes axis has only taken shape and lacks any attraction force or spiritual force, making it essentially non-existent. It seems the 6 extremes axes can only be completed when the 5 blessings axes are completed, just as how the shadow darkens the brighter the light. The 3 axes draw a face. TL/N. Face as in mathematical terms. In any case, it is now possible to unfold the 4-axis canopy. I extend my hand over the face. Wawoom. Given that the 4-axis method I practice is the Great Desert to Dead Sea, my 4-axis canopy is somewhat predetermined. Chwaya. The image of an endless ashen gray desert appears over the face. This desert, devoid of both sky and land, only filled with an ashen exterior, looks like the outskirts of the netherworld. This is the appearance inside my 4-axis canopy, but I can put in at least 1 or 2 things that I want. Wawoom. I float the canvas of myriad forms and connections over the desolate desert. Countless connections from the canvas of myriad forms and connections rise to the sky, coloring the world. The connections emit light. The light they emit, resembling aurora borealis, illuminates the desert. Of course, to others, it will merely appear as a dull desert covered with hazy clouds, becoming even gloomier, but that doesn't matter to me. In any case, the interior of this 4-axis canopy is now my world. Wawoom. I unfold the 4-axis canopy. The land of the endless desert covers the surroundings. Typically, a 4-axis stage could not cover even a tenth of the twilight domain with their 4-axis canopy, but perhaps it's thanks to Vast Cold's heavenly circle and the 6 extremes axis, or maybe due to the presence of the 3 great ultimates. Akin to a cultivator at the integration stage, I managed to cover the entire twilight domain with my 4-axis canopy. Everyone listen. Today, this seat has an important announcement to make. All the ghostly creatures of the religious order listen attentively at my words. Why, of all days, did those who could endure heavenly tribulation and advance in cultivation do so today? This seat has someone I wish to save, and there are secrets I wish to uncover. Moreover, the cultivation method this seat has practiced is also related to those secrets. Furthermore, this seat discovered some information over a century ago and learned that a certain hidden cave will open soon. Only the power of a certain artifact within that hidden cave can help the one this seat wishes to save. Additionally, the secrets this seat seeks to uncover and this seat's method can also be assisted by the power of that artifact. Therefore, this seat plans to head towards that hidden cave. However, within that hidden cave, one's cultivation falls to the level of a mere beast that has not undergone spiritual enlightenment or a miscellaneous ghost. Thus, this seat seeks your assistance in that cave. Assist this seat and save those who follow into the cave. This matter is not so much related to our order, but is a personal affair of this seat, so it is not a command. Those who wish to come may come, and those who do not wish to come may stay. This seat, not as the cult leader, but as a fellow follower of the Wuji religious order, ask you, will you help me? In 3 days. According to Yuk Rin, Penglai Island will open. The salt mountain within Penglai Island, and the countless treasures, the ritual worship scriptures for Axis Foundation practice, among them the ritual worship scripture of love of virtue, and more. There is so much to gain. According to the information provided by Yuk Rin, it is a very dangerous place. Even if our cultivation is restricted, it wouldn't matter for me or Kim Young-hoon, but there seems to be limitations that neither mine nor Kim Young-hoon's martial power can resolve. Therefore, I proclaim to the entire Wuji religious order to resolve this with the numbers of the order. And shortly after my proclamation, the ghostly creatures and the demon race who have joined the Wuji religious order in the ancient force realm cheer in unison. We believe, O cult leader, of course, we shall follow. We believe that we will be shown another miracle. You have never forced us, but even if it were a demand, not a request, we would comply. They all cheer in unison, declaring they will follow me. I smile as I look upon them. Thank you. As long as they are here, this life must be different from any previous ones. I will definitely save Chongmun Ryong, uncover the secrets of the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, and prepare to leap to the next realm. Definitely. After my declaration, countless newly joined demon race followers from other branches of the Wuji religious order pour in, declaring their intent to join this Penglai Island expedition. And 3 days later, is it here? Yes. We, led by Yuk Rin, arrive at a small sea domain. This sea domain, without a proper palace lord and ruled by a 4-axis island lord, is called Cherry Blossom Dragon Sea Domain. It will be revealed at night. Today is a special day. Kugugugugugu. Before long, night falls, and the sky is filled with Een energy. The ring of light that marks daytime in each sea domain fades, and darkness envelopes the vicinity. Usually, that ring of light would emit moonlight, but it does not shine today for some reason. Yuk Rin speaks. Today is the day when Sacred Master He Lin stops supplying light to all the sea domains once every few centuries. It's a day when only darkness remains. Since the Sacred Master binds the dimensional canopy of the ancient force realm and forbids, Jing, light itself, no sea domain will be illuminated. Kugugugugu. Of course, no one here has any problem being without light, so each extends their consciousness domains to perceive their surroundings. And then, we see the deep sea ahead suddenly starting to split. The island that only appears on the day when light does not shine. That is Penglai Island. I lead the twilight domain toward the splitting deep sea. Just like the storage scroll of Lofty Dragon True Person, it seems hidden caves only reveal their entrances on days when light does not shine. While pondering idle thoughts, I move the entire twilight domain over the fully split gap of the deep sea. Can you see below? Kugugugu. Below the deep sea, something massive, like a giant barrier, is caught within the scope of my consciousness. That barrier is Penglai Island. As the Sacred Master's rules do not apply inside, there is a separate light source. Do not be surprised if it suddenly becomes bright. Thanks for the detailed information. Following Yuk Rin's explanation, I send the twilight domain down towards the barrier. Since the entire Wuji religious order is heading to Penglai Island, I brought the entire twilight domain with me. In other words, the benefits for the entire Wuji religious order are hanging on this trip to Penglai Island. My shoulders are heavy. Perhaps it's because of my thoughts of carrying the entire Wuji religious order. For some reason, my shoulders feel stiff. Kugugugugugu. It's just when the twilight domain is almost about to approach the barrier. RTOC. From one side of the split deep sea, a familiar ship suddenly appears. That's the Saltbones ship of the fighting demon pirate gang. Yuk Rin's face scrunches at the sight. Damn it. What are you doing? Stop those bastards. The structure of Punlai Island is such that the ones who enter first gain the advantage. With my expression becoming serious at his words, I launch sword energy. But at that moment, from behind the Saltbones ship, a huge darkness seems to rise, and several deep-sea monsters emerge. The fighting demon pirate gang has brought along a horde of deep-sea monsters. And while we are dealing with the deep-sea monsters, the fighting demon pirate gang enters the barrier of Punlai Island slightly ahead of the Twilight Domain. RTOC. Our Twilight Domain also enters the barrier shortly after, but Yuk Rin remarks sarcastically, "Well, what can we do? It seems those thieves will gain more benefits. Be quiet." Kugagugagu. When the Twilight Domain finally fully enters the barrier, I open my eyes wide at the sight before me. It's a colossal salt mountain. At the top of the salt mountain is a pure white palace made entirely of salt crystals, and the salt mountain suddenly emits a bright white light. Then, all of us, including myself, lose consciousness. Blink. I open my eyes. Where is this? Chapter 380, with everyone 4. My head is foggy. The sunlight is clear. And then, a flood of confusing information rushes into my mind. Age 30, hobbies are drinking, womanizing, gambling, and singing and dancing. Occupation is a charcoal seller. Single. My head aches as if it's splitting apart. It seems like I had a dream. I am Seo Eun-hyun, a charcoal seller. But it feels like I had a strange dream while I was asleep. I lived for thousands of years. Flinch. I grab my head and shout out loud. I am me. These are memories that I can never forget. How could I forget who I am? I am not Seo Eun-hyun, the charcoal seller. I am Seo Eun-hyun, from the soap company. I am Seo Eun-hyun. I grab my head and get up from my seat. I haven't forgotten. Just moments ago, I was looking at the slopes of the Salt Mountain outside of Punlai Island, and I had fainted after being hit by the light emitted from Salt Mountain. Yuk Rin said if you enter Punlai Island, you will be trapped in an illusion formation and become a character within the formation. And this formation changes every time to fit us. At least this is certain. When Yuk Rin said this, he wasn't lying, and it's a fact we had learned through continuous interrogation for over 100 years. As I clutch my throbbing head and stand up, trying to make sense of the situation. Whispering, whispering, whispering. I hear murmuring sounds from around me. When I come to my senses and look around, I find myself on a small platform in front of a thatched roof house, Choga House. And beyond the low fence of the house, humans who seem to be neighbors are watching me and whispering. That Seo fellow. He drank heavily last night, so he must be out of his mind. Hey, let's just go on our way. If we get caught by that thug, we're in trouble. Ugh, having a thug like that in the village makes everyone uneasy. What's he doing today anyway? Who knows? With that Seo fellow's personality, he might be planning to dump them in the mountains. Oh my, how terrible. What an unfilial rascal. I assessed the situation, considering the memories implanted in my head and the reactions of the people around me. So, the original setting for Seo Eun-hyun, the charcoal seller in this formation, is that his parents died of a plague when he was 13, and he has lived in this village for 30 years without marrying, behaving like a complete thug? It sure seems like an incredibly detailed formation. When I glance at the neighbors, they all flee, emitting intent of having stepped on something foul. Wait, I think I couldn't see the intent of some of them. Is it just my imagination? After looking around at them once, I extend my hand. I try to pull the hill behind Seo Eun-hyun's house with attraction force. But the attraction force does not work. I try to draw upon other methods like the Thousand Lustrous Forest Sea and the Great Desert to Dead Sea, and even the Silica Earth Great Wall practice, but I feel nothing. I pull out a strand of straw used for making the fence and swing it over the platform. Boom. I have trained in the sword for thousands of years. Even without imbuing any energy, just swinging the straw leaves a mark on the platform. After looking at the mark for a moment, I swing the straw at my arm. Surung. My arm is cut, and drops of blood start to seep out. The muscle strength and toughness of my physical body built with the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method have all returned to an ordinary level. I try to focus my consciousness on my Dantian only to realize that even my consciousness has reverted to my mortal days. This is quite. Of course, even without consciousness, I have no problem observing my body, so I calmly examine my Dantian. The golden core is gone. The Dharma treasure inside is also gone. I have completely returned to the state of Seo Eun-hyun when first entering Ascension Path. Maybe not that far. Thinking back, it's not to that extent. Seo Eun-hyun, the charcoal seller in this formation, always has blackened hands and rough skin from working with charcoal. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, and I can feel something strange. There is no cheap. Surprisingly, I can't sense any energy in the atmosphere. Recalling the incident at the hot spring on the surface of Lightning Sacred Sea involving Jangik, I try to use attraction force to summon the All-Heavens Sword. However, nothing happens. Damn it. It seems like laws or something in this world are twisted on a fundamental level. Yuck Rin, that dog bastard. How is this just a simple illusion? It's more like an entirely different world. Although I'm not too fearful since I still retain the ability to see intent in my accumulated martial arts, I'm annoyed to find out that some of Yuck Rin's information is wrong. That damn bastard said I could use chi. But while searching through the memories of the charcoal seller Seo Eun-hyun, I discover that there are indeed beings similar to demon spirits, Yaogwai, in this world. I rub my forehead. Damn it, can the demon race use demonic power to some extent in this world? In other words, Yuck Rin wasn't lying from his own perspective when he said one can use energy. Gritting my teeth, I start looking around for now to find my comrades or followers of the Wuji religious order. Although I have some rough memories as Seo Eun-hyun, the charcoal seller, they are not complete. I soon find Yunwei nearby. She is across the street, inside a tiled roof house wearing clean clothes, playing with her 3-year-old son. That boy feels like Yun-jin. Elder Yunwei. I speak to her first, and she looks at me with flared eyes, rushes into the kitchen, grabs a rice paddle, and slaps me across the face. Are you here to ask for rice again? You shameless thing. Get out of here. The only thing I'll give you is the rice stuck to your cheek, so scram. HMHM, dear wife. Why the commotion? No, husband. It's the village thug again. Creak. The door inside the tiled roof house opens, and a gentleman who resembles Han One pokes his head out. He meets my gaze, and, looking above me, clicks his tongue and says, he's a poor young man. Dear wife should be more understanding. I've told you repeatedly, haven't I? CO Fellow's parents once helped our parents. Just give him a scoop of rice and send him on his way. You, all right, husband? Yunwei's body trembles and reluctantly heads to the kitchen, scooping out a bowl of rice to hand to me. You, why? Why do I have to give our precious rice, meant for my husband and son, to a beggar like you? She hands me the rice with trembling hands, and I accept it in a moment of confusion. Now that you've got the rice, get lost. And if you ever come back again talking about your parents' so-called kindness, I'll make sure you get a severe beating. As soon as I take the rice, she kicks me out the front door and slams it shut. I examine the rice I have received. It's mixed with pebbles and sand. Judging by her character, it's definitely Yunwei. I recall the face of her husband, Han Wan. He didn't have any intent visible. I remember what Yuck Rin said. This formation creates illusions based on the target's memories. It seems Yunwei's husband is a character purely created from her memories, a figure of this world. Then the neighbors who showed intent. I remember their appearances, realizing they are people I have seen in the Wuji religious order. I see, the followers are set to appear as they did in life rather than as ghosts. I frown. That's that. But why hasn't Yunwei snapped out of it yet? I have already come to my senses, but she still seems to think that she is a character in this world. Even though Yunwei is dead, she still possesses the consciousness of a 4-axis stage cultivator. Yet, she has lost her essence and fully embraced the setting of this world. I need to find the others. I decide to take a walk around the village. And as I walk around, I come to realize my reputation in the village is dreadful. Children started crying as soon as they saw my face. Village maidens suddenly stopped chatting happily and walked as far away from me as possible, and the elderly men trembled in fear and fled with their canes when I approached. The sturdy young men spat on the ground whenever I drew near. Damn it, why did my character have to be a scoundrel? While I am pondering this, I suddenly freeze. Up ahead, I spot Kim Yun and Bu Qianghua. They are walking down the road, laughing together. Their demeanor is so similar to their behavior in the Wuji religious order that I approach them on the off chance that they regain their senses. Excuse me, but as soon as I speak, they recoil in fright. Kaik, you scoundrel, what are you trying to do to us? Stay away from Yun Yuni. You pervert. What are you plotting now? Kim Yun retreats with a terrified expression, and Bu Qianghua also steps back, but stands protectively in front of her. No, wait. I have something to say. I approach them taken aback by the realization that even Kim Yun, with her superior consciousness, has not yet broken free from this illusion. If even someone with a vast consciousness like Kim Yun hasn't snapped out of it, just how can one regain their awareness in this formation? Do they need some kind of stimulus? As I approach, Bu Qianghua's face grows increasingly fierce. She pulls out a small silver knife from her bosom and grips it in her hand. Hey, calm down. I just need to check something for a moment. What? Are you trying to check our underwear, you villain? If you come any closer, I'll swing. No, Bu Qianghua. Just put that down for a moment. Go. Get your hands off. Boom, boom. Bu Qianghua lets out a sharp cry as she swings the silver knife at me, and I reach out in alarm. Hey, stop swinging that as it's dangerous. I quickly grab Bu Qianghua's hand and restrain her. Kim Yun, with tears welling up in her eyes, clings to the hem of my pants and begins to plead. Please, don't touch our Qianghua. Take me instead. No, it's not like that. Just then, boom, I sense something flying towards me from behind, and I quickly turn to catch a flying stone. Oh, You're here too. With a welcoming expression, I wave at the angry man who had thrown the stone. It's John Myung-hoon. Hey, John Myung-hoon. Do you remember me? However, John Myung-hoon approaches me with an angry face and slaps me across the cheek. It's been a while since I've been hit by this guy. Since the guy is always angry, I speak to see if John Myung-hoon regained his memories. Hey, why are you hitting me all of a sudden? But John Myung-hoon angrily points his finger at me. Shut up. You scoundrel, stop bothering the village maidens. Don't you know the village has been in turmoil because of you? Do you think I'll let it slide just because we were friends before? If you keep causing trouble, I'll ask Nunim to have you expelled from the village. He raises his hand as if to slap me again, but then a woman behind John Myung-hoon pulls him back. No, husband. Even so, how can you hit a son in front of his parents? What? What are you talking about? My body trembles as I look at her. She resembles Jin So-hye. She awkwardly smiles at me while pulling John Myung-hoon back. Haha, hello. We'll be going now. The character resembling Jin So-hye grabs John Myung-hoon's wrist and hurriedly leads him away. John Myung-hoon enters the tiled roof house where Yun-wei is. It seems the Nunim John Myung-hoon mentioned is Yun-wei. Thanks to John Myung-hoon holding me back, Bu Kyung-hwa and Kim Yun quickly fled and disappeared from my sight. I sigh. Damn. Upon waking up, I found myself as the thug charcoal seller of Penglai Island.